Hey guys, out here, the Middle Ages weren't just about storms and pirates. Sometimes the most dangerous thing was something you couldn't even see. Sailors called it a fog, but it was more like a prison. No horizon, no stars, no way to tell if you were moving forward or in circles. The air turned wet and heavy, food rotted, men whispered about curses, and the sea, invisible under that white shroud, waited for the right moment to take whoever it wanted. This isn't a tale of bold voyages or proud explorers. It's a slow, tightening grip, one that could strangle even the toughest crew. By the time you realize you're trapped, it's already too late. So before you get too cozy, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this strange little corner of quiet storytelling. And drop a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's strangely comforting to know who else is drifting off with us around the world. Now get comfortable, let the day melt away, and we'll drift back together into the quiet corners of the past. You've just stepped onto a medieval ship, the kind made of rough-hewn wood that creaks with every wave, the kind you can feel in your bones. The air smells like salt, and the sea stretches out endlessly, the horizon a thin line between the blue of the water and the blue of the sky. The sun is warm, just enough to make you feel comfortable, but not too harsh. The gentle rocking of the ship lulls you into a sense of calm, like a cradle for grown-ups. You watch the distant waves break against the ship's side, the water lapping at the hull in a soothing rhythm. It's peaceful. There's nothing to worry about. You're sailing across the open sea, probably headed somewhere. Maybe it's to trade with another port, or to deliver supplies to a distant lord. Maybe you're just escaping the land for a bit, seeking a few days of quiet away from the worries of the world. Whatever the reason, right now, it doesn't matter. You're here, on the water, and the sea is stretching out before you, endless and unchanging. The sky above you is clear, and the ship moves smoothly through the water, its sails billowing just enough to catch the wind. There's no storm on the horizon, no clouds to darken the sky. It's just you and the sea, and the world feels perfect. Before you get too comfortable, take a second to appreciate the little things. Hit the like button if you're feeling the salt in the air, the breeze on your skin, and the stillness of it all. Let us know where you're listening from, what time it is, and what this peaceful moment looks like for you. It's oddly comforting to know who else is drifting off with us, even if for a few minutes. Now, go ahead and settle in. The sea has a way of pulling you into its rhythm, and for now, you're just part of it, a quiet observer of the vastness that stretches out all around you. But don't get too attached to this serenity. You're on a medieval ship, and though the calm feels like it might last forever, the truth is, it won't. This quiet, this peace, it's an illusion. It's only a matter of time before it all shatters. The sea, for all its beauty, has a way of hiding its dangers. It can be a cruel mistress, and right now, she's just waiting for the right moment to remind you of that. The wind shifts. It's subtle at first. You don't notice it. Not at first. The sails flap a little more loosely, and the gentle rocking of the ship grows just a touch more pronounced. But it's nothing alarming. You shift your weight, and the ship creaks beneath you. The crew is still going about their tasks, unfazed by the subtle change in the air. The man at the helm spins the wheel lazily, his face relaxed. There's no reason to be concerned, not yet, but the sky starts to change. The warmth of the sun starts to fade, as though it's being swallowed by the horizon itself. A chill settles in, creeping up your spine without warning. You feel it first in the air, then in your bones. A shiver runs through you, but you brush it off. It's nothing, just a breeze from the north. The crew still doesn't notice. Why would they? It's just a dip in the temperature, nothing more. But then, the fog begins to roll in, slowly, like it's sliding up from the sea itself. It's hard to explain at first. It's not a sudden wave of mist, but a creeping thing, like smoke spilling over the edge of the world and pouring down onto the water. The air feels heavier now, the warmth of the sun completely gone, replaced by an almost suffocating dampness. It smells faintly of the sea, yes, but it's deeper now, richer, thicker, like the ocean itself has shifted, its very breath now pressing in on you. You see the mist before you feel it. It begins to blur the horizon, and the once gleaming water begins to fade into a thick white haze. The crew still hasn't reacted. They're going about their work, unaware, maybe even oblivious to the subtle shift in the world around them. The sails are still billowing, the ship still cutting through the water, but you feel it now, the fog pressing in, wrapping itself around the ship. The captain glances up, then back down at the wheel, but doesn't speak. No one speaks. It's as if everyone knows it's coming, but no one wants to acknowledge it. The fog is here now, thick as a blanket. The ship's movements feel different now, slower, as though it's not quite as sure of its direction. The steady sound of the waves crashing against the hull is muffled, replaced by an eerie silence. You realize, with a growing knot in your stomach, that you can't see more than a few feet ahead of you. The ship is moving, but the world is disappearing. The crew begins to murmur. You can hear it now. Whispers carried on the wind. The sound of a man shifting uneasily, of someone muttering a prayer under his breath. And that's when it hits you. The fog isn't just an inconvenience. It's a predator, a living, breathing thing. You thought you were safe on the water, but now you're no longer sure of anything. The world has shrunk to a few feet, and that comforting stretch of sea is gone. You've just crossed into a place where time and space don't exist. You're trapped in a fog that will only tighten its grip the longer you remain in it. And as the crew begins to realize the same thing, a chill crawls over your skin. You thought you were safe, but the sea just gave you its first warning. The fog is here, and so are the dangers. You should have known better than to trust the calm. The change is subtle at first, so subtle you almost miss it. The warmth that's been kissing your skin fades just a little, like someone drawing a curtain across the sun. A cool breath from the sea wraps itself around you, slipping under your cloak and down your neck. The air feels thicker now, like the very atmosphere is pulling in closer to your bones. At first, it's nothing to worry about, just a slight shift in the weather, a touch of coolness where there was once warmth. But the moment the wind dies, and the hum of the ship's movement against the water becomes muffled, you realize something has changed. You glance around, but there's nothing to see. Just more of the sea, stretching out endlessly before you. And then, as if summoned by some silent call, the fog begins. It's hard to say exactly when it starts, because at first, it's nothing more than a haze on the horizon. But the haze creeps in, slow and relentless, like a spirit rising from the depths of the ocean. The ship cuts through it, its bow splitting the air, but it seems to only thicken the farther you go. You blink, rub your eyes, but it doesn't help. The world around you is blurring, the horizon is disappearing. First, it's just a slight mist hanging low over the water, soft and ethereal, almost inviting. But before you know it, it's like the world has been swallowed whole by a ghost. You can't see more than a few feet ahead of you. The ship's outline is barely visible through the haze, and you can no longer make out the crew's faces. The air is damp now, clinging to you, your skin growing sticky as the fog rolls in like a living thing. You swallow hard, and the taste of salt is gone. The sound of the water slapping against the ship's hull is still there, but it's muffled, like someone's wrapped it in cotton. It doesn't feel right. The silence that follows isn't peaceful. It's suffocating, like the world has taken a deep breath and is holding it in, just waiting for something. The usual chatter among the crew dies down, one by one, as they begin to realize what's happening. First, it's just a murmur, Someone's unsure, maybe checking the sails, looking up at the sky, trying to find some answer. But no one says anything. The fog continues to creep, swallowing the ship, stealing away what little vision you had left. The world is contracting into a shrinking circle, and every step you take feels like it might lead you off a cliff, even though you know there's nothing but water beneath you. The eerie quiet settles in deeper now, and you feel it in your chest. This uncomfortable tension that creeps in when the weather turns without warning. It's more than just a change in the wind or the fog. It's the unknown creeping closer, something you can't see, can't touch, can't explain. The crew stares at their hands, their feet, as if any distraction might keep them from confronting the truth. You hear the scrape of a shoe on the deck, the faintest cough, but it feels like someone's shouted in the silence. This is it, the moment where you realize you've crossed into a place you don't belong. The fog thickens, and the edges of the ship disappear. The ropes tying the sails are invisible now. The wood beneath your feet creaks. But it doesn't sound quite right. The whole ship is a vague shape in the mist, moving but not moving, a drifting ghost of a thing. You can't help but reach out, trying to touch something, anything, to ground yourself. But everything's slipping away, like the world itself is evaporating, leaving you alone on a vessel that's now as much a part of the fog as the ocean is. There's no wind now, no sound, just the steady creak of the ship as it rides the waves. The crew stands frozen, their faces barely visible in the thick veil surrounding you. They, too, feel it. The heavy weight of this strange nothingness pressing in on all sides. Someone mutters under their breath. A prayer, a curse, a quick promise to gods you'd long since forgotten, but no one can hear it over the pounding of your own heart. You swallow, your mouth dry, but you don't speak. The words you're thinking are lodged somewhere too far down to reach. A man in the distance shifts. He's staring at something, or maybe just staring into the fog, but you can't tell. You strain your eyes, searching for something familiar in the mist, but there's nothing there. Nothing but endless white. The ship's bow cuts forward, but even the water ahead of you is swallowed by the mist before you can see it. The sea has turned from something you could trust into something you no longer understand. It's not a place of adventure anymore, not a peaceful journey. It's just empty space, a vacuum, a waiting place. And that's when you realize this is the first sign of trouble. The fog is no longer just fog. It's a warning, a shadowed threat. You can't explain why, but you know it in your bones. The sea has stopped being your ally. You've wandered into something darker, something the world of men can't control. It isn't just a bad omen, it's a reckoning. The silence now weighs heavier than the fog itself. And in that silence, you're left with one undeniable truth. You have no idea what's coming next, but you know you won't be ready for it. The fog is thickening now, and it feels like the world is folding in on itself. The air, once cool but bearable, has turned damp and clammy. You can feel it clinging to your skin, sinking into your clothes, pressing against your chest. The water laps at the hull with a rhythm that's almost too steady, too predictable, as if the sea itself is mocking you. But there's no relief from it. There's no shore to find, no land to cling to. You're surrounded by nothing but this endless, smothering blanket of white pine. The silence is strange now, even though the ship is still creaking underfoot. It's as if the fog has muffled every sound, every voice, until all that remains is the hum of your own heartbeat, a slow and steady thud in your chest. You try to focus, trying to push the panic down, but it's getting harder. The stars? Gone. You can't even tell if it's still night or if day has arrived. The sun, which was once your guide, is nowhere to be found. You squint, but there's nothing there but more of the same. Thick, impenetrable fog. It's like the sky itself has disappeared, leaving only a pale blur in every direction. You can't see the ship's mast, can't make out the sails, can barely even see the man standing right beside you. The deck is wet, slick with the morning's moisture, and you're starting to feel a creeping sense of unease settle into your bones. You thought you could trust the sea, that you could follow the path marked out by the stars, but right now, the world feels like a maze with no exit. You pull out your compass, the one piece of technology you've relied on time and time again, hoping it will offer some reassurance. But the needle doesn't move. It wavers, twitching back and forth in that half-hearted way, as if it too has no idea where you are. The magnetic pull of the earth is useless here. You stare at the compass, then up at the fog. What's the point? There's no guidance from the heavens, no clear direction from the earth. You are completely and utterly lost, adrift in this ocean of white with nothing to cling to except your own breath. Your hands tighten around the compass, but it feels like a cruel joke. Without the stars, without the sun, without even the comfort of a clear horizon, you're nothing but a small, insignificant speck on a ship that might as well be floating in a void. The crew starts to stir uneasily. They've always been tough, trained to weather storms, to brave the waves. But now they are as lost as you are. Their eyes dart nervously around them, searching for something, anything, to reassure them that they aren't trapped in the middle of an endless nothingness. Someone mutters under his breath, a curse, or perhaps a prayer. But it's not enough to settle the storm that's beginning to rise inside your chest. A few crew members begin to pace, their footsteps echoing against the wooden deck. But you can hear the quiet edge of panic in each movement, the hesitation in every step. A murmur runs through the group. Someone asks what to do, but the question dies before it even leaves his mouth. There are no answers. There is nothing to be done. The ship rocks gently beneath your feet, but with every passing moment, the water around you becomes more alien. The waves seem to come from nowhere, rising up silently and crashing against the hull with a sound that's swallowed almost immediately by the thick fog. The air is damp now, almost too much so, and it feels like the ship is being smothered by the very sea you've trusted your entire life. Your mind races, trying to piece together something, anything, to make sense of the situation. But there's no way to find your bearings. There's no sound from the crew to guide you. No voices calling out. No orders shouted across the deck. Instead, the fog hangs over everything, heavy and oppressive, like a blanket drawn tight over your senses. You try to imagine what's ahead, to guess where the shore might be, but it's impossible. The sea is endless. The fog makes it worse. Even the sound of the water against the ship's hull now seems muffled, as if the ocean itself has wrapped you in silence. It's at that moment that you understand the depth of the danger. It's not the lack of a compass. It's not the absence of the sun. It's the fact that you don't know what's happening, where you are, or where you're going. For the first time in your life, you realize that you're completely at the mercy of forces you can't understand. And the worst part? No one else knows any better than you do. The crew's eyes are wide now, their nerves on edge. Some of them are standing still, staring out into the nothingness, while others shift uneasily, unable to keep still, unable to pretend this is just another storm. It's not. It's something worse, something deeper. You realize the truth. The fog is more than just an obstacle. It's a wall. It's a barrier between you and the world, a way for the sea to remind you that it has no mercy, no concern for whether you live or die. You could be floating toward a cliff, or worse, a hidden shoal, and you wouldn't know until it was too late. The ship creaks again, and in the silence, it sounds like the groan of a living thing, trapped in this fog just as you are. And as the minutes stretch into hours, you realize one undeniable truth. You're navigating blind. The sea has closed its eyes, and now you're the one left fumbling in the dark. The fog is closing in, thicker now, and it's not just the sight of the world shrinking that disturbs you. It's the air. The sea, once so fresh and welcoming, now feels like it's being swallowed whole. The sharp, salty tang you're used to, the one that fills your lungs and makes you feel alive, is gone. Instead, the air is heavy, damp, like the weight of the ocean itself is pressing down on your chest. The scent is cloying now, thick with moisture and decay, as if something is rotting just beneath the surface. With each breath, the smell seeps deeper into your lungs, a constant reminder that something is wrong. This is no longer the sea you know, no longer the familiar, rhythmic waves you once trusted. The ocean, your ally, has become something else. It's suffocating you. It's pulling you under, and you can't breathe. You exhale slowly, hoping to push the feeling away, but it's still there. It follows you, clings to you like the fog itself. Each inhale feels like you're drinking in something that isn't just air. It's the sea's slow, creeping grip, wrapping itself around you until it feels like it's inside you, inside your bones. The mist, thick and relentless, makes the world feel smaller, suffocating. There's nowhere to go. You're trapped, and the smell is reminding you of it with every shallow breath. It wasn't supposed to be like this. The sea was supposed to be your path to freedom, your way out. You were supposed to be on your way to a safe harbor, to something solid. Instead, you're stranded in this fog, with the water around you no longer a source of solace, but a vast, empty, silent monster, waiting for its chance to swallow you whole. You try to ignore it, but it's impossible. The world feels different now, as though the sea has transformed from something you've known and lived with for years into something alien and threatening. You glance around, hoping for some sign of land, but there's nothing but white, an endless stretch of nothing. The ship creaks under your feet, but the sound seems dull, muted, swallowed by the haze. The air around you is thick, almost viscous, like it's pushing back against every movement. Your crewmates shift nervously, their faces barely visible, their breath matching yours, shallow, anxious. There's something in the way they move now, something frantic, like they too can feel the weight of the fog pressing down on them. No one speaks, but you don't need words. You feel it, a silent understanding hanging heavy between you all. You're lost, and there's no way out. The scent of the sea lingers in your nostrils, but it's no longer the refreshing, briny tang you've known your whole life. Now it's thick with rot, with something decayed that's been left to fester. You swallow hard, trying to shake the feeling. You can't let the panic take hold, but it's creeping in, slipping up your spine with every breath. The fog wraps tighter around the ship, and the water slapping against the hull sounds wrong, hollow, like it's muffled by the very fog that's encircling you. You try to focus, to find some sort of grounding, but all you can think about is the air. The smell is getting to you, sinking into your skin, into your thoughts, until it's all you can taste. It's like you're no longer in control of your own body. The air is pressing in on you, making each breath feel heavier, as though the very weight of the fog is bearing down on your chest. You want to scream, but you're not sure who would hear it. You want to run, but there's nowhere to go. And the worst part? The worst part is that the sea, which has always been your home, your guide, is now just another force against you. It's turned on you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. You try to shake the panic off, but it sticks to you like the thick mist, wrapping itself around you tighter with each passing second. Every inhale feels like you're breathing in the sea's cold, wet embrace, and every breath pulls you deeper into the fog. The air is saturated with salt, but it's no longer refreshing. It's cloying, oppressive. It's a reminder that you're stuck in the middle of an ocean that no longer feels like home. You want to fight it, to shove it away, but it's already too late. You're breathing it in. With every breath, the fog wraps itself tighter around your mind until all you can think about is the slow, creeping sensation of being lost, of being swallowed by the sea that was once your ally. It feels like the water itself is changing, like it's become something darker, something dangerous. You've been on the sea long enough to know its rhythms, its moods, but now, the sea is no longer a friend. It's an enemy, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for the moment to pull you under. And the fog, thick as it is its accomplice. It's suffocating you, and there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing left is the steady slap of the water, the creak of the ship, and the smell. The smell that won't leave. The smell that tells you what you've always known deep down. In the end, the sea is always in control. And right now, it's telling you that you don't stand a chance. It starts with a slight shift in the air, a change you can feel in the tension of the ship, in the way the crew moves. The calm that had once held everyone together is slipping away, slowly at first, then faster, like sand through a clenched fist. The navigators, those men who once charted the ship's course with confidence, begin to look uncertain, their eyes darting nervously from one side of the ship to the other. They trace the lines of the sails with their hands, tapping them, muttering to themselves, as if some silent map might appear if they press hard enough. But there's no map. There's nothing but the fog, thick and relentless, swallowing any hint of direction. The compass is useless, the stars are gone, and the ship's course is now determined by nothing more than a wild guess and the will of the sea. You glance at the captain. His face, usually so steady, so strong, has begun to show cracks. His grip on the wheel, once firm and unshakable, now falters every few minutes. He wipes his brow, even though the air is cool, almost cold. His eyes scan the distance, but there's nothing to see. The sea should have been his domain, his kingdom, but now it feels as though it's mocking him. He calls out orders, but they sound hollow, like he's trying to convince himself more than the crew. His voice is low, but there's a quiver in it that wasn't there before. The crew, who once hung on his every command, are now looking at him, their faces blank, uncertain. It's only a matter of time before they start questioning him. You can feel it in the way they move, in the way they no longer snap to attention when he speaks. There's a crack in the dam, and it's starting to widen. The men who had been calm, cool-headed sailors just hours ago are no longer the same. You hear the whispers begin, small, almost imperceptible at first. They're asking each other if anyone knows where they are. No one answers. They're asking what they should do. And then, more dangerously, they're asking if anyone knows who's in charge now. The silence is spreading, and in that silence is the heart of the problem. Nobody knows where they are. Nobody knows what to do. The ship is no longer a ship on a journey. It's just a raft in the middle of an endless, suffocating fog, and you can hear the anxiety beginning to grow in every murmur, every step. The first man to break is a young sailor, one of the newer recruits. He stands near the mast, gripping it with white-knuckled hands, staring into the fog like it's an enemy. His breath comes in short, quick bursts, as if he's struggling to hold something back. His wide eyes flick from one corner of the ship to another, but there's no land, no horizon to focus on. Only endless white. You see him swallow, his throat bobbing visibly, and then, almost too quietly to hear, he speaks. "We're lost, aren't we?" The words hang in the air like a stone dropped in water, sending ripples of unease through the men around him. It wasn't supposed to be like this. This wasn't supposed to happen. The fog, the uncertainty, the lack of direction, it's all becoming too much. One of the older sailors, a seasoned man who's seen more storms than he can count, tries to reassure him, tries to brush the words away like they're nothing. "No," he says, his voice shaky. "We're just waiting for the fog to lift." But even as he says it, you see the doubt creeping into his eyes, and you know that the words are hollow. The fog isn't going anywhere, And it's not just the fog that's pressing in on you. It's the panic. It's the silence. It's the sense that the ship is slipping through the world, and nobody has the faintest idea of where it's headed. It's the realization that the sea, your constant, your ally, has become an unforgiving maze, and no one is sure how to find the way out. The captain stands at the wheel now, his back straight, his jaw clenched, but the uncertainty is there, hiding just beneath the surface. He gives another order, but it's not the same. The crew doesn't respond the way they should. They don't move with the same urgency, the same sharpness. They move like they're waiting for something to change, but they know, deep down, that it won't. They don't trust him. They don't trust the ship. And most painfully of all, they don't trust themselves. The fog is a wall, and with it comes the crushing weight of helplessness. Panic spreads like wildfire, and you can feel it, creeping into every corner of the ship. The men aren't sailors anymore. They're lost children, stranded in a place they don't understand, looking for someone to tell them what to do, someone to tell them that everything will be okay. But there's no one left to lead. The captain's voice trembles now, and even though he's still giving orders, no one is listening. The men are no longer sailors. They're survivors, desperate and uncertain. They're huddled together, their voices low, and you can hear the whispers of fear growing louder with each passing moment. And all you can do is watch as the ship drifts on, blind, lost, with no one at the helm and nothing ahead but more fog. You've been drifting in the fog for what feels like hours, maybe days, but time seems to have lost its meaning. The steady creak of the ship, the murmur of the crew, the endless, unchanging whiteness that surrounds you. These are the only things left to measure the passage of time. The air is damp, cold now, and every breath feels like it's being drawn through wet cloth. The silence is unbearable, the weight of it pressing down on you like a physical force, making everything seem distant and out of reach. You can't see a thing beyond the ship's rail, just more fog that thickens and swirls around you, erasing everything you once knew. The sea that once felt so open, so free, is now a trap, a vast, suffocating void, and you are lost in it. The crew no longer speaks much, the once bustling ship now eerily quiet except for the occasional creak of the timbers and the soft shuffle of boots on deck. They move like sleepwalkers, unsure of themselves, their eyes constantly scanning the nothingness, looking for some sign, any sign, of where they are. The captain's orders are half-hearted, his voice losing its conviction with each passing moment. No one is sure if they're heading in the right direction, but at this point, does it even matter? The sea could be taking them anywhere, and the land they thought they were heading toward is nothing more than a distant memory, swallowed up by the fog. Then, out of the silence, you hear it. A sound. It's distant at first, so faint that you think you might be imagining it. But then it comes again, louder this time. The faintest creak of wood against water, the rasp of a rope against a mast, the low moan of a ship in motion. Your heart skips a beat. Another ship? But you can't see it. You strain your eyes, trying to pierce the fog, but there's nothing there, just the same endless, swirling white. For a moment, the air feels even heavier, more oppressive. The sound comes again, and you feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It's a low, eerie echo, like a ghost of a ship that's passing by, unseen, unheard by everyone but you. Your chest tightens. You weren't alone. Something is out there, moving in the fog with you, but you can't tell what or how close it is. The thought lingers in your mind, gnawing at you. What if you're not the only ones trapped in this murky world? What if there's something worse out there, waiting for you to drift too close? The crew has begun to notice the sound, too. They exchange uneasy glances, their expressions shifting from confused to fearful. No one speaks at first. It's as if no one wants to acknowledge what's just happened, as if by naming it, they'll somehow make it real. but there's no denying it. The sound of the other ship is growing louder, the eerie groan of wood against water, the sound of ropes straining in the wind, the subtle scrape of a sail. It's all around you, but there's nothing to see, nothing to point to. You are trapped in this endless white void, with the faintest sound of something else lurking, watching, waiting. What if it's a ghost ship? The thought crosses your mind, chilling you to the bone. There are stories, old sailor tales about ships that vanish into the mist, never to be seen again. Ships that are doomed to drift the seas forever, crewed by the lost and the damned. You tell yourself it's just a myth, but the sound is real, and it's getting closer. The fog is thick enough to swallow entire fleets, to hide things in plain sight. Could another ship have passed by without you noticing? Could it be lost? Just like you, its crew as lost and hopeless as yours? Or is there something more sinister at work? What if it's a ship that isn't lost at all, but something else entirely? The sound comes again, closer now, unmistakable. The scraping of the ship's hull against the waves, the distant call of someone on board. But still, you see nothing. Your pulse quickens. The crew is on edge now, some of them moving to the edge of the deck, straining their eyes, their breath shallow, their movements jerky with fear. You can feel the anxiety spreading, creeping through the men like a disease. They're afraid now. You can hear it in their footsteps, in the way they speak in hushed voices. You wonder, just for a second, if it's already too late. If this isn't just a ship passing by, but something that's been following you, waiting for you to falter, to show weakness. You strain your ears, desperate to hear something, anything, over the eerie sounds coming from all around you. But there's only the fog, thick and oppressive, wrapping you in its cold embrace, making every movement feel like it's happening underwater. It's like the whole world has been muted, as if the sea itself has drawn a veil over everything, leaving only the sound of that unseen ship. The realization hits you hard. You're not alone in these waters. Something else is out there, waiting for you to make a mistake. The fog hides it, the sea covers it, but it's there, drifting through the mist just like you, and whatever it is, it's closing in. The hours blur together now, lost in the fog, swallowed by the endless white that surrounds you. Time has become a meaningless thing. You try to remember when the last meal was, but it feels like it happened weeks ago, maybe months. Your stomach growls in protest, a low, angry rumble that echoes through the silence. You can feel the hunger creeping in, its sharp fingers curling around your insides. It's a constant, gnawing reminder that you're not just adrift in the fog. You're adrift in time, in a place where the rules no longer apply, and every moment is stretching into something you can't escape. The rations are down below, packed carefully in the hold, but no one has the courage to go down there. The thought of stepping into the darkness beneath deck, where the air is thick with the smell of stale food, damp wood, and the musty scent of old supplies, feels like a death sentence. The atmosphere below isn't just suffocating, it's stifling, pressing down on you like a weight that no one dares lift. It's easy to forget that there are supplies on board, that there's food down there in the hold, but in the fog, in this strange silence, it feels like a lifetime ago when you last saw the crates. The idea of going below seems impossible now, as if the ship itself has become a trap, a prison that you can't escape. You wonder if the others feel it too. The overwhelming heaviness that comes with being stuck, with no way out. No one speaks about it. They don't have to. The hunger is enough to bind everyone together in quiet desperation. The hunger is a slow burn, a creeping sensation that sinks into your bones, into your thoughts. It's not just your stomach anymore. It's your head, your whole body, telling you that something's wrong, something's not right. And as the hours drag on, you begin to wonder how long it will take before hunger becomes your primary concern. The thing you can't escape. The thing that takes over everything. Will it be tomorrow? Will it be tonight? How many more hours will it take before the crew begins to crack? You've seen it before. Men who have been stranded for too long, their minds unraveling as their bodies wither from the inside out. The sea has a way of breaking you, of turning men into something less, something animalistic. And it doesn't take long before the line between civilization and survival blurs completely. You glance around at the others, trying to gauge who might be the first to lose their grip, who will crumble first when the hunger becomes too much to bear. Some of the men still look strong, still have that fire in their eyes. But you see it now, the weakness beneath the surface. It's in the way they stand, a little shakier, a little less sure. It's in the way their eyes dart around, looking for something they can't see, searching for something they don't understand. No one speaks about the hunger. No one says a word, but it's there in every glance, in every movement, in every breath. It's the thing that everyone is pretending not to feel, pretending not to notice, but it's there. A silent force that none of you can escape. The fog presses in tighter, and the silence becomes deafening. The only sounds are the occasional creak of the ship, the soft lapping of the waves against the hull, the groaning of the wood under the weight of the mist. No one says a word. No one wants to acknowledge the truth. You're running out of time. The rations are down below, but even the thought of them is becoming unbearable. It's not just the hunger, it's the fear. The fear of what will happen when there's nothing left to eat, when the only choice is to go below and face the claustrophobic, suffocating air, to dig through the crates and pull out whatever scraps are left. But who will go first? Who will be the one to open that door, to step down into the unknown, to risk everything just to survive? There's no answer. There's no leader to guide you, no orders to follow. You're all stuck in the same place, trapped in the fog, bound together by the same desperate hunger. The days slip by, and you can feel the grip of hunger tightening around your chest, around your throat. You try to ignore it, to focus on something else, anything else. But it's there, a constant, gnawing presence that won't leave. You watch the crew, their faces pale, their eyes sunken, and you know that it's only a matter of time before someone makes a move. It won't be long now before the hunger becomes more than just an aching in your stomach. It will become something else, something primal, something that makes you forget the fog, forget the sea, forget everything except the need to survive. And when that moment comes, you'll know that this ship, this place, has become a different kind of prison. The food, the supplies, the rations, none of it matters anymore. What matters is getting through it. What matters is holding on long enough to make it out. But there's no way out. The fog has trapped you, and with it comes a hunger that you're not sure you can outrun. The first crash comes without warning. It's the kind of sound that doesn't belong on a calm sea. A deep, rumbling growl beneath the ship, followed by the violent impact of water smashing against the hull. It's loud enough to make the entire ship shudder, rattling the wood beneath your feet. The crew stumbles, losing their balance for just a second, but it's enough. The ship groans, its timbers protesting under the strain, and for a moment, you feel like you're caught in the jaws of something massive. The sea has been calm, too quiet, but now it's angry, furious even. You can feel it, that sudden shift in the air, that charged energy like the calm before a storm. Only, there is no storm, just the fog, and this monstrous wave, rising out of nowhere, hitting you with a force you can't understand. The ship lurches again, and you grip the nearest rail, your knuckles turning white as the sea throws itself against you. It's a reminder. The sea is not your ally. It never was. You blink, trying to clear the fog from your eyes, but it doesn't help. The water, thick and roiling, is still a wall of white in front of you, the ship's movement barely noticeable against the swell. The crew is scrambling now, their movements frantic, but you don't know what they're doing or why. You don't know anything. The ship feels like it's being tossed, thrown around by something you can't see. The sails flap wildly, snapping against the masts as if the wind itself has turned into something monstrous. You think you hear someone shout, but their voice is drowned out by the sound of the ocean's fury. The fog isn't just distorting your vision. It's distorting your senses, pulling everything out of shape. You don't know which way the ship is tilting. You don't know if the waves are coming from the port or the starboard. You can only feel the ship shifting underfoot, like it's a rag doll in the hands of a giant. And just when you think it can't get worse, it does. A wave, massive, towering, rises up from the depths. It's a rogue wave, an ocean's rage made manifest. You hear the sickening sound of water crashing against the side of the ship, the sickening groan of wood straining under the pressure. The ship shudders violently, its frame creaking like an old door on the verge of collapse. The sails snap again, this time louder, and you can feel the force of the water pressing in on you. The air is thick with salt, and you taste it on your lips, but the taste isn't enough to bring you back from the panic crawling up your throat. You're not ready for this. The ship isn't ready for this. The crew's eyes dart around, looking for direction, but it's too late for that. The ocean has taken control now, and you're powerless to stop it. The captain's voice, usually so strong, is barely a whisper above the noise. He's shouting orders, but they're lost in the roar of the waves, swallowed whole by the storm that isn't even here. It's just the sea, the deep water, the kind that rises when you least expect it. The fog has made it worse. You can't see anything beyond the ship. You don't know if there are more waves coming, or if you're heading straight into the mouth of one. You don't know anything anymore. The ship is tossed again, this time harder, and you stumble, grabbing desperately for a rope to steady yourself. The wind howls now, its force making the rigging creak and groan. You've never felt the ship move like this, never felt it strained so fiercely. The water surges against you, and all you can do is hold on, and hope that it's not the last thing you do. The sound of the waves crashing against the hull is deafening now, a violent slap that shakes the whole ship. You can hear it coming, each wave, each crash building in your bones, the sound echoing in your skull. But you can't tell how far away it is. You can't tell how close the ship is to its breaking point. The waves are coming so fast now that it feels like the ship is being dragged under, as if the ocean itself is clawing at you, pulling you into its depths. The crew is panicking now. They're shouting, some of them running in circles, others clutching desperately to whatever part of the ship they can find. But there's nothing to hold on to. The ship is a helpless thing, tossed like a toy in the hands of a monstrous child. You watch a man slip, his feet sliding out from under him as the ship lurches again, and before you can even react, he disappears into the fog, swallowed by the waves. The thought chills you to the core. That could be you. You could be the next to be pulled under, the next to disappear into the unseen water, the next to feel the ocean's cold embrace. The rogue wave is the sea's final reminder. It is the master, the true ruler of this ship, and you are nothing but its prey. There's no escape. There's no land. There's no safety. There is only the relentless, crushing power of the water, and all you can do is hold on as long as you can. But you know, deep down, it's not enough. The ocean is coming for you, and no one is ready. No one ever is. A scream cuts through the thick, suffocating fog, a sound so raw, so full of terror, it feels like it's been pulled from the very depths of the ocean itself. It's distant at first, barely audible above the sound of the waves crashing against the hull, but then it comes again, louder, sharper, an unmistakable cry for help, followed by nothing but the deafening silence of the mist. You freeze, your heart skipping a beat, and for a moment, you can't breathe. It's a sound you'll never forget. A sailor, someone you've sailed with, someone you've worked beside, has been torn from the ship. You don't know who. You don't know where they are. All you know is that they're gone, lost to the sea, and you can't do a damn thing about it. The crew is still, their faces pale, their eyes wide with fear. The panic is palpable now, thick and heavy in the air, spreading like wildfire. They turn to the captain for some kind of answer, some kind of direction, but the captain is as lost as the rest of you. He stands at the wheel, staring into the fog, his face drawn, his hands shaking on the spokes. His voice is a hoarse whisper, but it doesn't matter. No one's listening anymore. The crew knows it, and you know it. This ship is drifting, not just through the mist, but through a place where the sea has all the power, where one wrong step, one wrong move, is enough to tear everything apart. The sound of the scream still echoes in your ears, its meaning clear now. The sea doesn't care. It doesn't care if you're prepared. It doesn't care if you've spent your whole life on its surface. The sea is a ruthless beast, and it takes what it wants when it wants, without warning, without mercy. All it takes is a gust of wind, a rogue wave, a slip of the foot, and that could be you. You try to shake the thought from your head, but it's already there, lodged like a rock in your stomach. The sea is unforgiving. The sea doesn't care that you can't see it. It's watching. It's waiting. The fog presses in tighter, swallowing the ship whole, and you realize just how vulnerable you are. You're blind, trapped in this misty tomb, with no way to know what's ahead or what's lurking just beneath the surface. You can feel the weight of the silence around you, thick and oppressive, like the ship is being smothered by the very air it's floating through. The crew shifts uneasily, their eyes darting around, searching the white void for something, anything, that might bring them comfort. But there is nothing. There's no land, no stars, no horizon. There's only the endless ocean and the cold, choking fog that has wrapped itself around you like a shroud. The scream still lingers in the air, a ghost that refuses to leave. You wonder, just for a second, if the sailor who fell has already been claimed by the sea, if their body is already sinking into the deep, lost forever in the murky water. The thought sends a chill down your spine. You know it's not just the scream that haunts you. It's the realization that, in this moment, you are completely at the mercy of the sea. It could happen to any of you. It could happen to anyone on this ship. All it takes is a single wrong move, a single moment of weakness, and the sea will take you, without hesitation, without a thought. You could slip, fall, or be pulled over the side without anyone noticing. And then, you'd be nothing but another lost sailor, another name swallowed by the ocean. The crew is quieter now, their movements slower, more deliberate, as though they're trying to move through the fog without disturbing the fragile balance between them and the sea. There's an unspoken understanding that has settled over the ship, a recognition that the scream was not just a cry for help, it was a warning. The sea is a living thing, and it's not done with you yet. It's still hungry, still waiting, and it's watching you through the fog. You realize that the ship, once a safe place, is no longer a sanctuary. It's a coffin on the water, a vessel that could just as easily be torn apart as float onward into the nothingness. And then, just like that, the fog deepens, the air thickens, and you feel it in your chest, the weight of the sea pressing in, the realization that you are not safe, that no one is. The ship lurches again, and this time you barely catch yourself. The waves are rising, unseen, unpredictable, as though the very ocean has turned against you, angry and unforgiving. The fog is no longer just an obstacle. It's a tomb, a place where sailors go to disappear, to be swallowed whole by the sea. The scream of the sailor who went overboard isn't just a memory anymore. It's a warning. It's a reminder that, in the end, the sea doesn't care who you are or how hard you try to survive. It will take you when it's ready, and it will leave nothing behind but the mist and the wreckage. The fog is a relentless, unseen enemy, not just in the way it obscures the world around you, but in how it seeps into the very bones of the crew, wearing them down slowly, almost imperceptibly. It's not just the lack of sight that's breaking everyone. The ship feels like it's trapped in time. Each minute stretches, yawns, and folds into the next. And still, there's no sign of anything but more white, more emptiness. No stars, no horizon, just an endless blanket of fog and the endless slapping of water against the hull. At first, the silence was unsettling. Now, it's suffocating. The air feels thick with it, a weight that presses down on your shoulders and makes even the simplest movements feel laborious. You watch the crew shuffle around the deck, each one moving a little slower than the last, their faces pinched and pale. Their shoulders sag, and their eyes, once bright with determination, are now dull with exhaustion. It's clear now that no one is getting proper rest. The fog doesn't just block out the light. It robs you of sleep. You can't tell when night falls. You can't tell when day begins. The hours melt into one long continuous blur, and your body is too tired to fight it. The rations are running low. The once ample stores now reduced to meager scraps that you can barely bring yourself to eat. The hunger gnaws at you, a constant reminder of how far you've fallen. Every man on board is hungry, but no one says it. No one speaks of it out loud. They don't need to. It's there, in every movement, in the way everyone clutches their stomachs after every half-hearted meal, in the way everyone glances at the hold, wondering if there's anything left to ration out. But no one dares go below deck anymore. The air down there is stale, stifling, and the smell of damp wood, mildew, and the decay of old food is enough to make you gag. Even the thought of it is enough to make you feel claustrophobic, as though you're being suffocated from the inside out. And that's not even the worst of it. The worst part is the way the terror of the unknown has started to seep into the crew's bones, how it makes every moment feel like a battle for survival, how it hangs heavy in the air like an invisible fog of its own. There's no telling where the next wave will come from, no telling if the ship will hold together long enough to make it through. The fear isn't just in the thought of the fog itself anymore. It's in the way the crew moves, in the way everyone is beginning to look over their shoulders, as though expecting something worse to emerge from the mist. Every man on deck looks as though they've just been pulled from the brink of sleep, their faces haggard, their eyes glassy. Even the captain has stopped giving orders with his usual confidence. He stands there, gripping the wheel with white knuckles, as if he's waiting for something to change, but nothing ever does. There's no escape, and with every passing moment, it feels like you're all being ground down, worn away by the endless fog, by the nothingness that surrounds you, by the sheer isolation of it all. You hear the sound of footsteps behind you, but when you turn, it's just another crew member shuffling past with his head down, barely able to lift his feet. You wonder how long it will take before someone breaks. You've been at sea long enough to know that fatigue can do things to a man. It makes them forget their own names. It makes them forget how to breathe. It wears them down until they're nothing but a hollow shell, moving through the motions without ever really being there. You've seen men crack before, seen them lose everything to the hunger, the sleep deprivation, the terror. But this is different. The fog is different. It's not just the isolation of being at sea. It's the knowledge that you're completely, utterly, and hopelessly lost in it, with no way to get out. There's no direction, no land, no light. You could be drifting in circles for days, for weeks, for months, and no one would know. You might never see land again. And that thought is more terrifying than anything you've ever faced. The crew no longer speaks to one another, not in the way they used to. It's all hushed whispers now, all quiet, tentative movements. There's no camaraderie left, no brotherhood to hold on to. Just fear, just exhaustion. Every glance you exchange with the others is filled with the same question, the same thought. How much longer can we keep going? How much longer before we break? The fog isn't just wearing down your body, it's wearing down your mind. Every breath feels labored, every step feels heavier, and there's no escape from it. You try to find something to hold on to, something to believe in, but all you have is the sound of the waves, the slap against the hull, the endless creaking of the ship. The fog has become a tomb, a place where time doesn't matter, where everything is trapped in the slow, grinding march toward nothing. The terror, the fatigue, the hunger, it all melds together into something almost unbearable. But the worst part is the realization that you're all slowly being worn down, not just by the sea, but by each other. There's no unity left, no trust, no hope. Just the endless cycle of exhaustion, the endless pull of the fog, and the growing certainty that, sooner or later, someone will break. And when they do, it won't be a single crack in the ship that sinks you. It'll be the collective weight of all of you, slowly breaking apart from the inside. Before you can even begin to grasp the danger around you, a quiet truth sinks in. The sea, the very thing you've trusted all your life, is not something you understand. It's never been something you could control, never something you could truly know. In the medieval world, the sea was a place of myth and mystery. For sailors then, it was as wild and unpredictable as any force of nature could be, and those who dared to venture out into it did so with more than just skill. They did so with reverence, with fear, and sometimes with sheer luck. In their time, the sea was as much a story as it was a reality. They had gods for it, demons, legends of creatures lurking just beyond the horizon, and the belief that the waters were full of unknown dangers, of things that couldn't be explained. And as the ship pitches and groans around you, you realize that nothing has really changed. The sea is still the same unknown entity it was centuries ago. It's still a force you cannot predict. And now, you are a part of that ancient, terrifying relationship. No one on board has the slightest idea of what kind of danger you're really in, and it's becoming harder and harder to deny that you're at its mercy. Even the bravest sailors, the ones who've seen more than their fair share of storms, who've sailed on the most treacherous waters, were terrified of what the sea could do when it truly let loose. They were sailors by profession, but they were not immune to the sea's wrath. Every gust of wind that howled through the rigging, every shift in the waves that made the ship lurch or groan, sent a ripple of fear through their bones. In those days, they didn't have the tools or the knowledge we take for granted now. There was no GPS, no radar to track a storm. There were no satellites to warn them of an approaching rogue wave. The wind could turn in an instant, the sea could swell without warning, and there was nothing they could do but hold on and pray. The most seasoned men still feared the wild unpredictability of the water, because they knew, deep down, that the sea could turn at any moment without a whisper of warning, and it didn't care if you were prepared or not. Now, you're realizing that you're no different. The sea might not be full of the same mythical creatures the medieval sailors feared, but it's still just as dangerous. You're out there, adrift in the fog, with no real understanding of where you are, no reliable way to tell which way is up, and all you have to guide you is the sound of the waves, the smell of salt in the air, and the feel of the ship rocking underfoot. Every moment spent in the thickening fog feels like a roll of the dice. Is the sea playing with you, testing your endurance? Or is it waiting for you to make a mistake, to expose your vulnerability, to slip, just once, into its embrace? You can't know. Not really. No matter how experienced you are, no matter how many times you've seen the horizon line or sailed into a storm, you're still powerless against the ocean's wrath. The sea doesn't care about your strength. It doesn't care about your navigation skills or your charts. It doesn't care about the fear in your heart or the crew's trembling hands. It only cares about the storm that's coming or the waves that are about to crash against you. And if you aren't ready, if you don't see it coming, the sea will take you. The thought of the ancient sailors who once set out into these waters in ships far less reliable than yours makes the situation all the more terrifying. They were brave. They were proud. But even they could never truly predict what the sea would do next. They believed the water held dark secrets, a place where the world itself could bend and twist and vanish into nothingness. They told stories of ships swallowed whole, of men who disappeared without a trace, of vast whirlpools that could drag an entire fleet under with a single pull. Those myths, those tales of the unknown, were meant to explain the unexplainable. Why some men returned and others didn't. Why some ships found safe harbor and others were lost forever. The sea, they thought, was alive, and in its depths, it kept secrets that no man could fathom. Those stories didn't just keep sailors cautious, they kept them humble. And as much as you want to dismiss those ancient beliefs now, something deep in your gut tells you that maybe, just maybe, there's a piece of truth to them. After all, you're here now, trapped in a fog that feels like it's closing in from all sides, with no land in sight and no sign of what's coming next. The fog is only part of it. The real danger is that you're out there in the sea, blind, vulnerable, at the mercy of something older than you, older than the ship beneath your feet, older than the men who sail it. The ocean doesn't care if you don't believe in its myths anymore. It doesn't care if you know better, or if you've read the latest charts, or if you've sailed these waters 100 times before. It will still swallow you whole, and it will do it with no more remorse than it did to the sailors of old. You may think you're different, that modern tools and knowledge have made the sea predictable, but right now, you're realizing just how little has really changed. The sea is still a place of myth. It's still a place of mystery. It's still a place of terror, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Nothing at all. The air is thick with tension now, every breath like a weight in your chest. It's not just the fog anymore. It's the fear, creeping into every corner of the ship, seeping into the minds of the crew. You can hear it in their whispers, the muttering that starts low but builds, circulating around the deck like an infectious disease. At first, it's just idle talk, someone asking if this day might be cursed, if the winds had been against them from the start, if the sea had marked them for some unknown fate. But then, as the hours stretch on and nothing changes, the whispers grow into something more insidious. The idea spreads like wildfire. This ship is doomed. The sea has turned on them. And it's no accident. They begin to murmur about omens, the kind of talk that's usually dismissed with a laugh or a knowing shake of the head. But now, in this desperate fog, the words take root. They begin to believe. Was it the black cat that crossed the deck just before you set sail? Or maybe the wrong kind of bird that flew overhead during the early morning hours? They wonder aloud, the men shifting uneasily, their eyes darting around as if expecting something to appear, as if the mere mention of these omens will make them real. The fog outside, thick and oppressive, suddenly feels like more than just a weather pattern. It's a bad sign, a warning from the depths, a veil that's hiding the truth, hiding what's out there waiting for you. The water has stopped being an ally, and the crew no longer talks about sailing home, about reaching port. They talk about survival, and survival alone. They begin to exchange stories, old sailor legends, tales about the bad luck of sailing on certain days, or the misfortune of crossing paths with unseen creatures in the depths of the sea. They talk about the superstition that says, if you kill a seabird, you're inviting death upon the ship. Someone mentions the idea that certain men are cursed. Maybe one of you has angered the gods of the sea. Maybe one of you has caused this, but no one says it out loud. No one accuses anyone directly, but it's there in the air, hanging like a shadow. The idea is planted, and it doesn't take long before the crew is looking at each other like strangers, like potential threats, wondering if one of them is the cause of all this. Of course, none of it matters. None of these superstitions are going to get you out of this fog. None of them will make the ship sail smoother or the sea kinder. The omens are just words, just stories. But in this moment, with the sea swallowing you whole and the fog growing thicker with each passing minute, those beliefs seem all too real. They gnaw at you, bite at your mind, until you begin to question whether something, anything, can stop the endless slide into chaos. You watch as one of the sailors crosses himself, his lips moving in a prayer to a god he hasn't thought of in years, and you wonder if, in his heart, he's starting to believe that this is it, that this is the end, and that there's no way out. The superstition, the belief in the signs, the fear of being cursed, it all seeps into your own thoughts, and you wonder, just for a moment, if you're really just a pawn in a much bigger game. A game played by forces you can't understand, and you start to feel it. That strange sensation in your gut that what's happening now, this madness, is not of your making, not of your doing. The superstitions won't help you. The omens won't make a difference. But in the madness, in the isolation, they start to feel like the only thing that makes sense. You can see it in the crew's faces. The disbelief, the fear, the realization that there's no logic to the situation. There's no way to explain what's happening. No reason why the fog hasn't lifted. No way to account for the eerily calm seas. The ship that rocks and sways with no real cause. So instead, the crew begins to cling to the familiar. They hold on to the superstitions, to the belief that if they can just find the source of the bad omen, they can fix it, can turn the tide. Maybe if they say the right words, sacrifice the right offering, the sea will spare them. It's irrational, and deep down, you know it's foolish. But at the same time, it feels like the only thing left to hold on to. The fog has taken everything else from you. Your sense of direction, your security, your sanity. And now, it's taking your sense of reality, too. The crew begins to gather, muttering amongst themselves, their voices rising and falling in the oppressive silence. They speak of bad omens, of curses, of the sea gods, and the things that dwell beneath the water, waiting to claim their due. It doesn't matter that none of it is real. The belief itself, the fear, is the only thing that's left. It's the only thing that can make sense of the madness that's unfolding around you. You can feel it now. The tension, the fear, the sense of doom. The fog is no longer just a physical barrier. It's a mental one too, and it's wrapping its tendrils around your mind, slowly crushing any rational thought until all that's left is superstition. It's ridiculous, you know that. But in this place, in this moment, it's the only thing that feels certain. And that's the worst part. The superstition might not save you, but it's starting to feel like it's all that's keeping you from losing your mind entirely. The wind shifts again. A cruel, unpredictable thing. One moment, it's pushing the ship forward, the sails filling with air, pulling the boat through the fog with an eerie, quiet speed. But then, without warning, it changes direction, slamming into the sails from a different angle, throwing the ship off course. The sails strain under the pressure, and you can hear the ropes groaning in protest as they stretch, almost as if the ship itself is screaming at the sky, demanding the wind to relent. The crew looks to one another, unsure, confused. The orders from the captain are unclear, garbled, lost in the wind and the murk that surrounds you. No one knows what to do. No one can even agree. Should the sails come down? Should they stay up? The ship rocks with the swell of the water, the sails snapping in the wind, making decisions seem like a gamble. Everyone has their opinion, but no one can predict the wind anymore. It feels as though nature itself is playing tricks on you, toying with the ship like a cat batting at a mouse it has no intention of catching. The fog is thick, the air oppressive, and it feels like the ship is slowly being dragged through the depths of some endless unknown. The sails caught in a battle with forces you can't see, can't control. The crew is tired, their eyes bloodshot, their bodies drained, but they're still moving, still working. The sails have to be managed. The ship has to move. And yet, each time they think they've got it right, each time they believe the wind is on their side, it shifts again, making a fool of all their efforts. You hear a shout as a crew member strains against the ropes, trying to pull them in, but the wind fights back, pulling them harder, dragging the sails back toward the sky. The sails snap like the crack of a whip, and the ship groans again, bucking beneath you, as though the sea itself is laughing at your efforts. You start to wonder how long you can keep fighting. How long can you push against something so much bigger than you? The ocean feels alive now, more alive than it has in all the days you've spent at sea. It's mocking you, laughing at the futility of your struggle. Every gust of wind feels like an insult, a reminder that the sea has the power to destroy you at any moment. You're not controlling the ship. The sea is. The sails, the ropes, the entire crew. They're all just instruments, mere toys in the hands of a force you'll never understand. The captain's voice cuts through the confusion, but it's barely audible, lost in the wind. The ship sways again, a long, drawn-out motion that feels like it's taking you deeper into the fog, deeper into the unknown. The sails strain against the wind, their edges snapping, the canvas rattling like a beast on a leash. You look around, hoping to catch a glimpse of the horizon, but the fog presses in from all sides, swallowing the world whole. It's like you're lost in a dream, floating through a world that doesn't exist, where the only thing that matters is the ship and the fight against the relentless forces of nature. You begin to feel small, insignificant, like a speck on the surface of an ocean that doesn't care about your survival. The sails are still being tossed about, and the ship continues to groan, each creak a reminder of how fragile it all is. There's no control here, not really. Every decision feels like a misstep, and the crew is slowly starting to lose faith, their movements growing more erratic, their eyes more desperate. The fog has become a prison, wrapping the ship in its heavy, suffocating embrace, and all you can do is fight against the inevitable. The sails flap violently in the wind, and you can feel the ship being pushed harder, as though it's being forced towards something unseen. You want to believe that land is close, that you're heading in the right direction, but the fog refuses to reveal anything. The sea is infinite, stretching out in all directions, and the sails, with all their creaking and snapping, can't give you the answers you need. There's nothing to guide you now. No stars, no moon, no shore in sight. Only the wind, the sails, and the crew, each man working harder than the last, hoping that this time, this moment, will be the one that brings them to safety. But the more you fight, the more it feels like the sea is fighting back. You're nothing but a speck, a tiny ship in a vast, unfathomable ocean, and the waves are rising again, the wind picking up with a vengeance. You start to wonder if you'll ever see land again, if you'll ever escape the fog, or if this endless fight will be your last. The sails are still up, the ropes still pulled tight, and all you can do is hold on, keep pushing against the unrelenting force of the wind, praying that somehow the sea will relent, that the fog will break, that you'll find a way out of this nightmare. But in your heart, you know the truth. The sea doesn't care. The ship doesn't care. And the wind, well, it doesn't care either. You are at the mercy of nature, a game piece in a world you can't control, and all you can do is fight, even when the fight seems hopeless. The sails flap harder, the ship groans deeper, and the fog remains, thick and endless. And you wonder, as the minutes turn into hours, how much longer you can keep fighting. You don't know how far you've drifted. You can't even guess anymore. The path you were once on, the direction you thought was sure, is gone now, lost to the fog and the relentless sea. The landmarks you relied on, the stars, the winds, the currents, they've all disappeared, swallowed by the thick, suffocating mist. The ship groans beneath you, its timbers creaking in protest as if it, too, understands that you're no longer in control. The chart you've been following, that once precious map, is useless now. It's a piece of paper with lines and symbols that have no meaning in this endless white void. The water around you is just water. The sky is just fog. And you, stranded in the middle of it, have no way of knowing where you are or how you got here. Every direction feels the same. Every sound, every movement of the ship is drowned in the thick mist, and it becomes painfully clear that you are adrift in the unknown. The crew starts to murmur amongst themselves, but the fear is evident in their eyes. They know as well as you do that nothing makes sense anymore. The tools you've relied on for years, the compass, the stars, the sextant, all are as useless as the map in your hands. Without sight of the sky, the very thing that once guided your every move, you are nothing more than a small ship on an endless, featureless ocean, drifting with no purpose, no direction. The thought hits you slowly, like the weight of the sea pulling you under. You may have already sailed past any hope of safety. The fog, thick and impenetrable, has erased everything that could help you. What if the shores you once sailed toward are now miles behind you? What if you've passed them already, unaware of how far you've gone? The thought is chilling, paralyzing, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The sea is vast, and without the compass or the sun to guide you, you are at the mercy of the ocean, its moods shifting with every moment. You try to steady your breath, to ignore the panic that threatens to rise in your chest, but it's hard. The ship lurches slightly, as if it, too, is uncertain of where it's headed. The men around you are restless now, their movements more erratic. The calm, confident sailors you once sailed with seem like strangers, their faces pinched with fear, their eyes darting around as though looking for something to cling to. But there's nothing. There's no land. There's no sign of the shore. There's only the ocean and the fog pressing in, closing the world off. The horizon is a memory, and you wonder if you'll ever see it again. The weight of the unknown begins to settle in, heavy and suffocating. The deep expanse of the ocean seems endless now, a black pit waiting to swallow you whole. How could you have drifted this far? The sea is not kind, and it is not forgiving. You can feel it now, in the way the ship rocks with the swells, in the way the fog presses against you like a living thing, trying to force its will upon you. You're a speck, a tiny speck in this vast, unknown world, and the worst part is that no one has any answers. No one can give you any comfort, because no one knows what's out there, or how to navigate this vast sea without the tools you once relied on. A soft groan escapes from one of the men, a whisper of frustration, and the noise sends a ripple through the crew. No one says anything, but the tension thickens. How much longer can you keep drifting like this? You have no idea. No one does. The fog blurs everything, turns the ship into an isolated island adrift in a sea of uncertainty. You wonder if the ship is even still on course, if you're sailing toward anything, or if you've been circling in the same endless space for days. You want to believe that someone, anyone, has a plan. But deep down, you know there's nothing. You can hear the sound of the water, soft and constant, like a lullaby that's meant to soothe, but all it does is remind you that the ocean is everywhere, around you, beneath you, a living thing that could rise up at any moment and drag you under. The fog, this suffocating, all-consuming veil, has cut you off from everything familiar. You've lost all sense of time. You have no idea how long you've been out here, how much further you have to go. The crew, though silent, are moving with more urgency now, but even they know there's nothing to be done. They can adjust the sails. They can attempt to steer the ship, but But none of it matters. The sea is too vast, the fog is too thick, and you are too small to fight it. The idea settles in, cold and final. You're lost. The world around you is a blank slate, and the only thing that remains is the ship and the crew, adrift on a sea that has no answers, no mercy. The fog is your prison now. The ocean is your tomb. And all you can do is keep moving, hoping that somehow the horizon will find you again. But deep down, you know that it's not the horizon you're waiting for. It's the end. The end of this journey, whatever it may be. You don't know if you'll ever see land again. You don't even know if you'll make it through this fog. All you know is that, right now, you're adrift, completely, utterly, in the unknown. Hours have stretched into days, and the thought of food or fresh water is starting to feel like a cruel memory, something you once had but now can only dream of. The ship is still drifting aimlessly, and the fog, thick and unrelenting, wraps around you like a suffocating blanket, keeping you trapped in a world where nothing is familiar, nothing is real, and nothing seems to change. Your throat is dry, burning with thirst. You can feel it now with every breath you take, that parched feeling deep inside your chest, where your body has begun to remind you just how desperately it needs water. You try to swallow, but it's like trying to gulp down sand. There's nothing left in your canteen, nothing left in the hold. You try to ignore it, but the thirst gnaws at you, becoming a constant presence in the back of your mind. You want to say something, want to ask when the rations will be divided again, but you already know the answer. The food is gone. The water is gone. The crew is running on fumes now, surviving not on supplies but on hope, and that hope is beginning to wither away. Your stomach growls, the sound louder than the wind in the rigging. You've tried to ignore it, tried to block out the hunger that has settled deep inside you, but now, as each hour drags into the next, it's becoming impossible to pretend that it isn't there. The crew doesn't talk about it much, but you can see it in their eyes, that same hollow, desperate look that mirrors your own. They're hungry, they're thirsty, and there's nothing to do about it. Nothing to ease the gnawing emptiness in your gut, or the dryness that coats your tongue. The fog has stolen everything from you, your sight, your bearings, your sense of time, and now it's stealing your ability to survive. The first day without food, without water, was a struggle. You could distract yourself, move through the motions of the ship, pretend that the hunger wasn't a constant ache in your body. But now it's impossible to ignore. The hunger has turned into something else. It's not just physical anymore, it's mental too. A slow burn of desperation, a creeping thought that you might never get out of this, that you might die here in the fog, not from the sea or the storm, but from something far more sinister, the slow, unrelenting grip of starvation. You start to wonder, in the quiet moments when the fog presses in so close you can hardly breathe, if you'll ever taste food again. Will you ever drink water again? The thought is almost laughable, but it's not funny. It's real. The fear of it tightens your chest, and you try to ignore it, try to focus on something else. But the truth is there, pulling at you, clawing at you, like a hand on your throat. You've already begun to feel it in your body. The weakness, the lack of energy, the way your limbs feel heavy and unresponsive. You used to move easily, quickly, but now every step feels like a chore. The hunger has made you sluggish, slower than you were, and the thirst has made your mind cloudy, your thoughts blurry. You're not sure how long it's been now. Hours have stretched into days, and with each passing moment, the situation grows direr, the uncertainty more palpable. You know that if you don't find food soon, if you don't find water soon, it won't matter how much fog is out there, or how many waves crash against the hull. The crew will break. You will break. You try to avoid looking at the men around you. They're all struggling, their faces gaunt, their eyes sunken, Some of them have started to move slower, dragging their feet, their strength drained by the lack of food, the lack of water. Others seem to have withdrawn into themselves, barely speaking, barely acknowledging each other. The silence between you all is louder than the fog, louder than the endless sound of the waves. Everyone is waiting, waiting for something, anything, to change, to break the monotony, to break the hunger that is slowly tearing you apart. But there is no change. There is only the fog, the ship, and the endless sea. The fog is no longer just an obstacle. It's a trap, a prison that has locked you inside with the worst possible enemy, to hunger. You start to wonder how long it will be before someone snaps. How long before the starvation gets to them, before it gets to you. The thought of it is terrifying, but it's also a reality you can't deny anymore. The fog outside is a reminder of how small and insignificant you are, of how powerless you are in the face of nature's will. The hunger inside, the thirst that has already begun to take root, is a reminder of how fragile life really is. You are nothing in this world. The sea doesn't care. The fog doesn't care. You feel it now, in every breath, in every painful shift of your body. The ship is still moving, but it doesn't feel like progress anymore. It feels like drifting into something far worse than you ever could have imagined. You start thinking about the worst-case scenario. How long could you survive without food? How long before the body gives up? You don't know. No one does. The fear creeps in like a cold shadow, and for the first time, you wonder if you'll ever see land again, if you'll ever be saved, or if this is it, if the fog, the hunger, and the thirst will be the end of you. There's no way to know. All you know is that with each passing moment, starvation's grip tightens. The ship is no longer moving with purpose. It's adrift, caught in an endless drift that feels as though it's been going on for days, maybe even weeks. The fog refuses to let go, wrapping the world around you in a thick, suffocating layer that leaves you feeling like you're trapped in some vast, empty void. There's no horizon to guide you, no stars to navigate by, no sun to give you any sense of time. The air is stagnant, heavy with the smell of salt water and despair. You've lost track of everything, from the hours to the days. There's no way to know where you're going anymore. The ship, once a steadfast vessel of purpose, now seems to float aimlessly on an endless sea. The sails flap weakly in the wind, caught in a strange lull where nothing is pushing you forward and nothing is holding you back. The crew, once so full of hope, now stumbles around in a daze, their faces hollow, their movements slower than they should be. The same conversations keep repeating, the same hopeless murmurs about finding land, about finding a way out. But there's no answer. The ship has no course. You have no direction. All you can do is hold on and pray, hoping that somehow, some way, the fog will lift, that you'll see the world again and find your way back to solid ground. But deep down, you know the truth. The ship is out of control. The sea is in charge now. There's a strange kind of stillness that has settled over everything. It's as if time itself has become irrelevant. The once bustling deck now feels like a haunted space. The men too exhausted to speak, too exhausted to care. No one moves with purpose anymore. The sound of the ship's timbers creaking is the loudest thing you hear, and even that sounds muted, swallowed by the weight of the fog. You want to scream, to do something, anything, but you can't bring yourself to. The silence is suffocating. You think back to the days when you could look up and see the stars, when you could feel the wind against your face and know you were going somewhere, when there was still hope that you would make it to the next port. But now, there's nothing. There's just the ship, the fog, and the endless stretch of water. Every time you look around, the world looks the same. It's all one big, empty space, stretching out in every direction. And no matter how hard you try to find some trace of land, some sign that you're moving towards something, you find nothing but more water, more mist, and more nothing. It's a terrifying realization that you've drifted so far from everything you knew, so far from any place that might offer salvation, and now you're stuck in the limbo of the sea. As the hours drag into what feels like an eternity, you begin to wonder if you'll ever escape this place. The isolation is starting to get to you, eating away at your sanity little by little. The men are whispering now, their voices hoarse and tired, their minds starting to fray at the edges. Some talk about seeing shapes in the mist, about hearing things in the water, but no one is sure if it's real or if it's just the fog playing tricks on them. You can feel it too, that strange unease that makes every shadow feel like a threat, every wave feel like it's going to pull you under. The isolation is getting worse. You feel disconnected, like your body is still on the ship, but your mind has drifted away, somewhere far off, somewhere you can't reach. The fear is there, deep in your gut, gnawing at you. The fear that the ship may never find its way out of this fog, that you might be stuck here forever, floating in the limbo of the sea. The worst part is the not knowing. Not knowing if you're getting closer to anything or further away. Not knowing if help is even possible. It's the helplessness, the complete lack of control, that makes everything feel so unbearable. And yet, you can't give up. The ship is still here. The crew is still here. You're still here. But with each passing moment, the hope of escape grows thinner, like the fading light of day in the distance. You hold on, not because you believe rescue is coming, but because what else is there to do? You have to keep moving forward, even if that forward is just a slow drift into the unknown. You try to think about survival, about the things you need to do to stay alive, but the weight of the isolation is too much. Every thought feels heavy, like it's sinking into the fog with you, like it's vanishing before you can grasp it. The silence is deafening now. The crew is becoming a ghost ship, each man barely existing, just moving through the motions. You wonder if you're all slowly fading away, slipping into the same emptiness as the fog itself. But still, you hold on. You pray. You wait. And as the hours stretch on, you realize that hope, as fragile as it is the only thing keeping you tethered to this ship, to this life. The drift is endless, the fog unyielding, and the sea feels like it's pulling you deeper into its grasp. The world is gone, and all that remains is the slow, quiet drift through an endless, empty void. The fog is still here, still pressing in, and with it comes the slow, terrifying understanding that you may never leave. Beneath you, the sea is silent, but in that silence lies an even darker threat, one you can't see, can't hear, can't even begin to understand. You've been focused on the fog, on the isolation, on the hunger that gnaws at your body, but beneath the surface of the water, the true dangers lurk, waiting, unseen, just out of reach. The sea is not just a passive force. It's a living, breathing entity, full of creatures whose only purpose is survival, and they don't care about you or your struggle. The fog has taken everything from you, and now it's keeping you from seeing the real threat. You can't see what's beneath the water's surface, but it's there, moving, shifting in the murky depths, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. You've heard the stories, the fishermen, the old sailors. They all have tales of what lies beneath. Some of it is myth, but some of it isn't. Sharks, whales, monstrous creatures that swim in the dark depths, too far beneath the surface for anyone to track. The ocean holds them, these predators, like a secret it's never shared. And you, on this ship, are nothing but a tiny speck in their vast, watery world. The fog makes it worse. It makes the sea feel even more oppressive, more dangerous. You can feel it now, a weight on your chest, as if the sea itself is watching, waiting for the right moment to make its move. The sound of the waves crashing against the ship's hull seems louder now, more menacing. The boat creaks, groans under the pressure, And every time you hear the sound of the water breaking, your heart skips a beat. What's out there? You can't see. You can't know. The fog keeps you trapped in a void where your only companion is the fear of the unknown, the fear of what might be lurking beneath you. You try to ignore it, to focus on the ship, on the crew, but it's always there, in the back of your mind, that gnawing awareness that you are surrounded by creatures that could take you, that could drag you into the depths with no warning. You're nothing more than a visitor in their home, and the longer you stay, the more vulnerable you become. In the distance, the sound of something large splashing in the water makes your heart race. Is it a whale? A shark? The deep, unfamiliar rumble of the water shifting beneath you? You can't tell. The fog is too thick, and the visibility is so low you're unsure of whether the ship is even moving forward or if the ocean has simply begun to fold in on itself, trapping you in a cycle of uncertainty. Every movement of the ship feels like a gamble now. Each lurch, each sway, could be a sign that something has spotted you, that something below the surface is deciding whether to make you its next meal. The water is colder now, and you can feel it creeping up, creeping into the ship's bones. You're not safe. You never were. The creatures of the sea, from the smallest fish to the largest, are all hungry, all searching for food, all living in a world that doesn't care about you or your survival. In the old days, the sailors spoke in whispers about the sea's true power, how it could swallow a ship whole, how it could take men without a trace. They said the ocean had its own rules, and you didn't get to question them. You didn't get to know its secrets until it was too late. The idea of something lurking beneath you, something waiting just below the water's surface, makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. The fog, once a shroud of confusion, now feels like a warning, a barrier keeping you from seeing what might be swimming just under your ship, just beyond the reach of the light. You can't even trust the waves anymore. They could hide anything beneath them, a school of hungry sharks or the powerful thrashing tail of a whale that could capsize the ship with one flick of its body. You're completely at the mercy of the sea. Every ripple in the water, every passing shadow beneath the surface could be the beginning of something terrifying. And with no way to see what's coming, you begin to feel small, insignificant, and completely vulnerable. You're nothing but a drifting speck in a world that's as much a predator as it is a victim. The crew's restlessness grows. You hear one of them whisper about the things that swim beneath, the creatures of the deep, the things that come to the surface when the sea is quiet, when the fog holds everything still. The stories come to life in your mind, and you wonder how many of them are true. How many of the creatures the old sailors spoke about still exist in the dark, cold depths of the ocean. You try not to look at the water, to avoid thinking about what's below, but it's impossible. The ship sways again, and you wonder if it's the current, or if something is moving underneath, something large enough to send a shiver through the waves. Your heart races. The isolation, the fear, the hunger, they've all combined now into a singular thought. The sea is full of dangers, and you can't even see them. The fog has given them the perfect cover. It's all a waiting game, and you're the prey. The ocean isn't just a thing to fear, it's a force that could turn on you at any moment. With the fog still clinging to everything around you, it feels as if you've been thrown into a world where there are no rules, no safety, no way out. And beneath you, in those unseen depths, the real dangers are watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. It's been days, maybe longer. Time has lost all meaning out here in the fog, where the sun hasn't touched you, where the only light is the dim, ghostly reflection of the ship's sails against the thick mist. The crew is quiet, their voices more hushed than before, and the air feels heavy, pressing down on your chest with a weight you can't shake off. There's something about the fog that plays tricks on you, twists your mind, and with each passing hour, the silence becomes more suffocating. You've heard the stories, of course, about how isolation can turn a man's mind, how being alone in the vastness of the sea can make you hear things, see things that aren't really there. But you never believed it. Not really. Not until now. The first whisper is so quiet, you almost dismiss it as the wind. It's a soft sound, like someone calling your name. But when you look around, there's no one there. Just the fog, thick and all-consuming. You swallow, telling yourself it's just your imagination playing tricks. The way the wind moves through the rigging, or maybe the ship creaking beneath you. But then it comes again, a whisper, a voice carried on the wind that doesn't sound like any of the men on board. It's distant, fleeting, and it vanishes before you can react. But it's there, and you know it. The air around you is filled with the sounds of the ship, the creaking of the timbers, the flutter of the sails in the weak wind, the endless slap of the waves against the hull. You try to focus on the familiar noise, the constant rhythm of the sea, but something is off. It feels too quiet now, too empty. Even the water seems different, heavier, somehow, as if the fog has changed the very nature of the ocean itself. The ship moves, but it's like you're drifting through a dream, untethered from everything you've ever known. Every creak of the wood seems louder now, more ominous, and the waves, once a comforting sound, now echo with a strange dissonance. They slap against the hull like something trying to get in, like the sea itself is trying to send a message, but you can't understand it. Your senses start to feel muddled, disjointed, as if reality itself is slipping away from you. You want to shake it off, to ignore the creeping panic that's settling in, but it's hard. The fog is making everything feel wrong, making your thoughts feel like they belong to someone else. The whispers come again, this time closer. You're sure of it. It's not the wind. It's not the ship. It's something else. You try to tell yourself it's just the isolation, the silence creeping into your mind, but that doesn't stop the cold sweat that breaks out on your skin. You glance around the deck, hoping to catch a glimpse of someone, anyone, to reassure yourself that you're not losing your grip on reality. But there's no one. The crew has retreated into themselves, silent figures in the thick, wet air, barely moving, barely speaking. They seem as if they've been swallowed by the fog too. And then, another voice, a soft, distant cry, echoes through the haze. It sounds human, but it's impossible to say if it's real or if it's just the fog bending your mind. It's so faint, you can't make out the words, but the tone, the pleading, the desperation, it's enough to send a shiver down your spine. You freeze, eyes scanning the edges of the ship, hoping for some sign, something to ground you in reality. But the fog is still there, relentless, consuming. It blurs everything around you, leaving you alone with your thoughts, your fear. Your mind begins to fracture under the pressure. What if the voices are real? What if someone else is out there in the mist, trapped like you, calling for help? What if there's something worse than the hunger, worse than the fog, waiting just beyond your reach? The isolation is eating away at you, turning everything familiar into something unrecognizable, something twisted. You start to doubt your own senses, wondering if the fog has taken more than your vision. It's taken your mind, too. The whispers grow louder, more insistent, like a chorus of voices, just beyond your hearing, too faint to understand, but close enough to make your skin crawl. You want to scream, to shout out into the emptiness, to demand that someone answer you, but you can't. The fear has locked you in place. The fog presses in from every direction, suffocating, cloying, until it feels like it's part of you, a presence in your mind, filling every thought, twisting every perception. You're not just isolated from the world anymore. You're isolated from yourself, from your own sanity. The longer you remain out here, the more the fog becomes something alive, something that thrives on your fear, that feeds on the isolation. It's not just the wind that carries the voices anymore. It's the fog itself, the sea itself, wrapping you in a nightmare that you can't escape. You start to question what's real and what isn't. The ship creaks again, but now it sounds like something else. It sounds like the whisper of something ancient, something older than the ship, older than the fog. The sea is speaking to you now, but you don't know if it's in your head or if it's real. The isolation is crushing. The fear is insidious. And as the hours stretch on, you begin to wonder if you'll ever escape. You begin to wonder if this madness, this descent, is the price of surviving in the fog. At first, the fog begins to shift, thinning ever so slightly, as if nature itself is taking a deep breath and preparing for something worse. You almost think you might be relieved, that the suffocating mist might finally lift, allowing you a glimpse of the world outside. But then you hear it, the distant rumble of thunder, so faint at first that you think you might be imagining it. But it comes again, closer this time, a low growl from the heavens, like the sky is warning you, like it knows what's coming. A cold wind stirs, faint at first, but steadily it begins to grow in strength, whipping around the ship, pushing against the sails, making the ropes creak under pressure. The sea groans beneath the ship, and the ship itself shudders, as if it knows what's coming too. The fog may have been hiding you from the world, but it's no longer enough to keep you safe. A storm is rising, and it's going to be worse than anything you've faced before. There's nothing you can do about it, nothing to stop it. The sea has already proven itself to be merciless, and now, the storm is about to show you just how much worse it can get. The wind picks up, blowing harder, the gusts now more like a slap against your skin. You can feel it in your bones, the air thickening with the promise of a tempest. The crew stirs, their faces pale, their movements stiff with fear and exhaustion. It's as if they can sense it too, the danger approaching on the wind, and all of you are just waiting for the storm to reveal itself in full force. But it's not here yet. The thunder rumbles again, this time louder, like a warning that you can't escape. The sky has darkened overhead, a deep, ominous gray that clouds every bit of hope you might have had left. The ship rocks more violently now, the water surging in unpredictable waves, and you can feel the power of the storm building just beneath the surface, like it's waiting for the right moment to strike. The fog has cleared, but the world is now more dangerous than it ever was. The storm is coming, and there's nowhere to hide. You look around at the crew, their faces lined with exhaustion, their eyes wide with terror. No one speaks now. There's nothing to say. The ship lurches as the first wave strikes, a hard, slapping thud that shakes you to the core, rattling the wood beneath your feet. The sails snap, caught in the fury of the wind, and for a moment, everything seems to freeze. And then it happens. The wind howls. The sea rises in great, towering waves, churning and crashing against the ship with a force you can barely comprehend. The storm is here. It comes with a violence that shakes the entire world, the waves now rising higher than the mast, the water slapping against the ship like 1,000 fists. The rain begins to fall, hard and fast, as if the heavens themselves have opened their floodgates. There's no more fighting it now. There's no more escaping. The ship is at the mercy of the storm, and you are nothing but a passenger, along for the ride. The first wave strikes again, knocking the ship off course, and you hear the wood creaking in protest, the sails straining against the wind, their fabric groaning like a living thing caught in a death grip. The crew scrambles, trying to hold on to anything, trying to make sense of the chaos. But there's no sense to be found in the storm. It's all fury, all chaos, all power. You try to move, to help, but it feels like you're swimming in a sea of madness. The ship pitches and tilts, the deck bucking beneath your feet, as if the storm itself is trying to throw you into the water. The wind is deafening now, a constant shriek that drowns out everything else, and the sound of the waves crashing against the hull is a roar in your ears. You can't hear the crew anymore. You can't hear anything but the storm. The sea is rising, threatening to swallow the ship whole, and you're helpless, caught between the wrath of nature and the fear that maybe, just maybe, this is it. This is where it ends. The storm is a wall of power, a living thing that wants nothing more than to tear you apart, to crush you beneath its waves. The ship creaks again, this time louder, and you feel the boards groan beneath your feet. Another wave crashes down, and the ship shudders violently, as if it might split apart at any moment. You hold on, your knuckles white as you grip the nearest rope, and you can feel the tension in your body, the terror spreading through your chest. The storm is everywhere now, the wind howling, the rain stinging your skin like needles, the waves crashing and tossing the ship around like a toy. And through it all, there's no escape. The fog may have lifted, but the storm is worse. It's real, it's here, and there's no way out of it. You close your eyes for a moment, trying to block out the world. But the ship keeps rocking, the wind keeps howling, and you know that no matter how much you wish for it, there's no magic that can save you now. You're caught in it, stuck in the storm's violent embrace, and there's nothing left to do but hold on and hope you survive. The storm rages on, its fury building with every passing minute, as if the ocean itself is trying to tear the ship apart. The crew struggles against the wind, trying to keep the sails intact, trying to hold the ship steady, but it feels like they're fighting a battle they can't win. The rain is so thick now it's like sheets of water crashing down from the heavens, and the waves crash so high you lose sight of the ship's bow for moments at a time. The ship groans and creaks, its timbers straining under the pressure, and every time the ship lurches, you're thrown off balance, struggling to stay upright. The world has become a blur of rain, wind, and water, and in the midst of all of it, it happens. One of the men, a sailor you've known for months, is thrown off balance, his grip slipping on the wet ropes as the ship tilts and shudders under the assault of the storm. You see it happen in slow motion, like it's all unfolding in a nightmare. His body jerks, his hands grasping desperately at the air, but there's nothing there to hold on to. And then he's gone. Just like that. Swallowed by the storm. There's no time to process it, no time to react. The ship is still fighting to stay afloat, the wind howling in your ears, the waves battering the sides of the ship like a living beast. But you saw it. You saw him fall, and for a moment, everything stops. It's as if time itself has frozen, and the reality of what just happened hits you all at once. One mistake, one misstep in the chaos of the storm, and a man is gone. You don't even hear a scream. There's no time for that. It's all over before you can blink. His body disappears into the blackness of the water, the sea swallowing him whole without a second thought. The fog and the storm have made it impossible to see, to hear, to find him. He's gone. And with him, a piece of your hope slips away. You don't even know how to feel. The terror of the storm, the fear of being swallowed up by the ocean yourself, is now mixed with the cold, harsh reality of the cost of carelessness. One slip, 1 second of not paying attention, and a man is lost forever. It's a cruel reminder of just how fragile life is at sea. You've seen men fight in battles, survive raids, endure hunger and thirst, but the sea doesn't care. The ocean is a force of nature that answers to no one, and in moments like this, it's painfully clear that no matter how strong, how skilled, how careful you are, it can take you in an instant. Your heart beats faster, and a cold sweat runs down your spine. You could be next. The storm continues to rage, but now there's something else in the air, something darker. The crew moves with less purpose now, their faces pale with the realization of what has just happened. There's no time to mourn, no time to stop, but it doesn't matter. You all know that life on the sea is fragile, that one wrong move, one moment of distraction, can cost you everything. You can feel it in the way the men move now, in the way they keep their heads down, working without speaking, the loss of one of their own hanging heavy in the air. The ship is still pitching and rolling, but there's no fighting it anymore. The fog still presses in on all sides, and the storm shows no sign of letting up. And all you can think about is that one man lost to the sea, just another body swallowed by the endless water, another name that will never be spoken again. You grip the railing harder, the wood cold beneath your hands. The rain keeps coming, the wind keeps howling, and the waves keep crashing. You don't know where you're going anymore. You don't even know if you'll survive this. The ship lurches again, and you almost lose your footing, the fear creeping in like a poison. The storm is not just the sea's wrath. It's a reminder of how little control you have over anything out here. One mistake, one slip, and it could be you next. You can't help but think of the sailor who's gone now. You never even had a chance to say goodbye, never had a chance to help him. The sea took him, just like that. It's a brutal, unforgiving place. And in this storm, in this fog, you realize that no matter how prepared you think you are, how much experience you have, the ocean will always have the final say. You're just along for the ride, a small speck in its endless vastness, and you can only hope it doesn't take you too. But deep down, you know it's always a possibility. The sea doesn't care if you live or die. It doesn't care about the crew you've become, the bonds you've built, or the hopes you had when you first set sail. The ocean is relentless, and one by one, the crew will fall. Some to the storm, some to the hunger, some to the sea itself. And there's nothing you can do but hold on and pray that you're not the next name whispered in the wind. The storm shows no mercy, and neither does the fog. The ship groans under its relentless assault, the sails straining against the wind, the hull cracking with each wave. You can feel it in the air, the desperation, thick and suffocating. It's no longer just the storm that threatens to tear you apart. It's the crew. What was once a tightly knit group of sailors, working together in the face of nature's fury, is now a group of men unraveling, each thread of camaraderie slowly coming undone. The fog has drained them. The hunger has drained them. The isolation has drained them. And now, all that's left is the instinct to survive, at any cost. It starts with whispers, quiet at first, almost imperceptible above the roar of the storm. At first, they're harmless, just the desperate thoughts of men who have been trapped in a nightmare for far too long. But then the voices get louder, sharper, filled with frustration and fear. A sailor shouts about the course. Someone thinks they've been drifting in the wrong direction, and they're convinced it's the reason they're still lost. Another man snaps back, accusing the first of leading them into this mess. Words fly like daggers, the anger bubbling up from a place deep inside, a place that's been festering for days. The storm outside is bad, but the storm within the ship is worse. It's a storm of fear and panic, and it's threatening to swallow the entire crew. As the hours stretch on, the crew's tension becomes palpable. Every movement is jerky, every glance loaded with suspicion. They can't keep their eyes off each other now. It's as if the fog has clouded not just their vision, but their minds too. You watch one of the sailors eye another, his gaze cold and calculating, as if he's wondering what it would take to survive, what he'd have to do to ensure it's him who makes it out, and not someone else. No one trusts anyone anymore. The simple act of passing a rope, of helping someone adjust a sail, has become fraught with tension. Everyone's waiting for something to snap, and then it happens. A fight breaks out between two of the men, their words sharp and venomous, their fists thrown in anger. It's over something small, something insignificant in the grand scheme of things, a misstep, a misunderstanding. But in the suffocating atmosphere of the ship, it's enough to set off an explosion. They're shouting now, wrestling on the deck, each man trying to pin the other down. their faces red with rage, their bodies slick with rain and sweat. The rest of the crew stands by, unsure whether to intervene or watch, paralyzed by fear and indecision. No one wants to get involved, but no one wants to risk being the next target either. You can see it in their eyes, the fear, the desperation, the realization that this fight is just the beginning. The ship is breaking, and so are they. The shouting match subsides, but the damage has been done. The air between the crew has been poisoned, and no one can pretend like things are normal anymore. The bond that once held you all together, your shared purpose, your unity in the face of the sea, has shattered, replaced by a deep, gnawing fear. You're all sinking into the same madness, the same desperation, the same madness that comes when survival is all that matters, and survival doesn't care who you step on to get there. Every man is a threat now, every sailor a possible adversary. The fog, the storm, the lack of food and water, it's breaking everyone down, one by one. The human mind wasn't meant to withstand this kind of isolation, this kind of pressure. It wasn't meant to survive on nothing but instinct and fear. It doesn't take long for the paranoia to spread. You begin to wonder if the man next to you is plotting something, if he's secretly keeping the last of the water for himself, if he's ready to lash out when the storm gets worse. You're not sure who you can trust anymore, and the lines between friend and foe blur, swallowed up by the fog and the endless crashing of waves. The sailors, once steady, once dependable, are now a ticking time bomb, each of them teetering on the edge of madness. One mistake, one wrong word, and the fragile veneer of civility that holds them together will crumble. The only thing left is survival, and that will drive any man to do unspeakable things. The days blur together now, the storm continuing its onslaught, the fog still thick and suffocating. The ship has become a prison, and the men on board are its captives, driven to the breaking point by hunger, fear, and the crushing weight of isolation. The world outside is a swirling, hostile mess of wind and water, but it's nothing compared to the chaos that's brewing below deck. The crew's desperation has taken root, and it's spreading like wildfire. Each man is a threat, each sailor is a possible enemy, and the only thing that matters now is who can survive, who can outlast the storm, the fog, and the madness that's slowly eating away at them all. They've been broken by the sea, and in the process, they've become something worse. Men who will do anything, sacrifice anything, to live, even if it means turning on each other. The ship drifts into an eerie calm, as if the sea itself has decided to grant you a momentary respite. The wind dies down, the waves flatten, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you don't feel like you're fighting for survival with every breath you take. The fog slowly begins to lift, pulling back like a curtain, revealing a world you no longer recognize. The familiar sense of control, the one that you had before the storm, before the fog, feels like a distant memory. You try to make sense of what's around you, but everything is strange now, altered by the madness of the days you've spent lost, drifting. The world seems too still, too quiet, as if the ocean has frozen in time, holding its breath, waiting for something you can't see. There's no land in sight, nothing but endless water stretching out to the horizon in all directions. You should feel relieved, but instead, all you feel is a gnawing sense of dread. The calm isn't a gift, it's a trap. It's the calm before the storm. The men on deck are just as lost as you are. They stand in silence, their faces blank, their eyes searching the empty sea, looking for something, anything, that might tell them where they are, what to do next. But there's nothing. The horizon remains a blur of water and sky, indistinguishable, as though the sea has swallowed everything familiar, leaving you stranded in some empty, forgotten world. You can't help but wonder how long it's been since you last saw land, since you last felt the reassuring touch of solid ground beneath your feet. Days? Weeks? You've lost track. The time has become a blur, as twisted and unrecognizable as the world around you now feels. You glance over at the crew, their exhaustion showing in the way they slump, the way their shoulders hang low, as if the weight of the journey has been too much for them to bear. The fog, the storm, the hunger, those things were bad enough. But this new kind of emptiness that stretches out in every direction, this is worse. The fog may have lifted, but its effects linger, wrapping around your mind like a vice. You feel a sense of disconnection, like you've been detached from the world for too long to ever truly belong in it again. The sea, once your companion, now feels like an enemy, a vast, endless expanse that offers no direction, no relief. You realize that the sea has broken you in ways you didn't fully understand. The fog was only the beginning. It didn't just steal your sense of sight. It stole your sense of time, your sense of place, your sense of control. And now, here you are, lost in a world that doesn't care about you. A ship drifting through waters that could go on forever, with no way to tell whether you're closer to salvation or deeper into damnation. You stare into the distance, but everything looks the same. The water, the sky, they blur together in an endless loop of nothingness. You can't tell if you've drifted further from land or if you've been circling the same patch of sea for days. The ship moves on, but it feels like you're trapped in the middle of nowhere, locked in a place where nothing changes, where no one can tell you if you're closer to safety or closer to being forgotten. The calm waters only highlight the sense of being adrift, of being lost in an ocean that stretches out beyond the edge of the world. The crew moves less now, their actions mechanical, as if the spark of hope that once drove them has burned out. They don't speak much anymore, and when they do, their words feel hollow, lacking any real meaning. Survival has become routine, a dull, monotonous rhythm of trying to hold on in a world that no longer offers anything to hold on to. The ship's course is set, but you can't help but wonder if it even matters. The fog is gone, but the uncertainty remains, heavy in the air, thick in your lungs. You've come so far, only to find that the world beyond the fog is just as empty, just as uncertain as the one you've left behind. This isn't an adventure anymore. It's a nightmare. You look around at the men, each of them lost in their own thoughts, each of them trying to find some way to keep moving forward. But there's no forward anymore. Not really. There's just the endless drift, the ship caught in an unending limbo, trapped between the storm's wrath and the cold, empty calm that follows it. You're stranded in the space between, nowhere to go but forward into the abyss. There's no land in sight, no sign of rescue, no sign of anything that might help you understand what's happened, where you are, or how you can possibly get back to the world you once knew. The sea has swallowed everything, leaving you and your crew stranded in its depths. The fog may have lifted, but what's left is worse. It's not the fear of the unknown anymore. It's the dread of knowing that there may never be an escape, that you may be doomed to wander these waters forever, searching for something that may never come. The world feels smaller now, the ship smaller still. As you drift through the nothingness, the horizon is empty, the sea is empty, and in the end you realize you might be, too. The realization hits you slowly, creeping into your mind like the cold fingers of the ocean itself, wrapping around your heart and squeezing until you can't breathe. Survival, once a distant goal, once something you thought was certain, has become an elusive dream, slipping through your fingers with each passing wave. The fog may have lifted, but in its wake, it's left something far worse. The harsh truth that survival is not guaranteed. The sea, in all its vast, indifferent glory, has shown you nothing but cruelty. It has taken men before you, strong men, brave men, men who thought they could outrun it, and it will take more. You know that now. You can feel it in your bones. You are just another speck in its unforgiving, endless expanse, and no matter how hard you fight, No matter how desperately you try to hold on, there is no promise of tomorrow. You look around at the men on deck, their faces hollow with exhaustion, their eyes empty with the realization that they, too, can feel it. The certainty that this could be the end. They are no longer the sailors who once faced the sea with a sense of purpose, of knowing. They are ghosts now, drifting through this nightmare, just like you. The sea, once your home, now feels like an executioner, waiting for its turn to strike. It doesn't care if you are afraid. It doesn't care if you are hungry, thirsty, desperate. It doesn't care if you were once a man with a life, with dreams. The sea only cares about its own power, and that power is indifferent to your struggles. You try to push the thought out of your head, the thought that this might be your last sunrise, but it lingers there, hanging over you like the dark clouds that have been with you for days, like the storm that's never truly gone. The sun rises every day, but what if today it doesn't? What if this is the end of your story? You can't deny it anymore. The thought is there, and it's starting to feel like the only truth you know. The sea has taken so much already. It has taken your confidence. It has taken your sense of safety. It has taken your trust in the world, your faith in the idea that you could make it out of this alive. And now, it might be ready to take you. Death, once an abstract idea you could push away, has become an undeniable presence on the ship. You see it in the eyes of the men around you, hear it in the way their voices tremble when they speak. It's there in every crack of the ship, every shudder of the wood, every wave that crashes into the hull with a brutal reminder of the forces at play. It's there in the way the storm comes back, rolling in on the horizon like it's just waiting for the right moment to finish what it started. And you can't escape it. The reality of death hangs thick in the air, and it's suffocating. You find yourself staring at the horizon, at the gray sea that stretches out in all directions, a world so vast, so uncaring, it feels as if it could swallow you whole without a second thought. There is no safety here, no land, no way back. Just endless water, endless sky, and the deep growing fear that you might never see another shore. The sea doesn't care that you're alive. It doesn't care that you want to make it home. It's a force older than you, older than any man, and it will do what it will do, regardless of your efforts to survive. The thought is a cold one, but it's one you can't ignore. It lingers, gnawing at you, as the ship creaks and moans under the weight of the storm. You hear the men below deck muttering to themselves, but there's no strength in their words anymore. They're just trying to make it through another hour, another minute, another breath. And then the silence settles in again. The sea quiets for a moment, like it's taking a breath, like it's waiting for something. You stand there, alone on deck, your hands gripping the railing, staring at the water below. You think of the men you've lost, of the ones who've been swallowed by the sea, taken in the night, taken by a storm, too fierce to fight, taken by the indifferent tide. They're gone now, gone without a trace, and the only thing left is the knowledge that you could be next. There's no escape from that truth. The fog has cleared, but it has revealed something far worse. The unrelenting certainty that death is just as much a part of the sea as the waves that crash against the ship. It's a reality you can't ignore, no matter how hard you try. It's a shadow that follows you, no matter how far you run, and you begin to wonder how much longer you can outrun it. The wind begins to pick up again, tugging at your hair, tugging at your clothes, and you realize, with a sinking feeling, that the calm is just another lie. The storm is coming back. The sea isn't finished with you yet. It never was. It's coming for you, and you can't outrun it. Not anymore. You stand there, staring at the water, wondering if this will be your last sunrise, wondering if you'll be just another name lost to the depths, swallowed by the very thing you once called your home. The fog may have lifted, but what's left is worse than anything you could have imagined. You should have known. You should have seen it coming. The calm, the false promise of relief. It was never meant for you. The fog has returned, creeping in slowly at first. Just a faint haze on the horizon, a whisper in the air. But you don't need to see it fully to know what it means. You feel it. The cold creeping through your bones, the weight of the silence settling in again, the air growing thicker with each passing minute. The fog is here, and this time, it feels different. It feels like a death sentence. The crew is already on edge. They've seen it too, felt it too. The way the air shifts, the way the sea seems to swallow everything up, leaving you isolated in a world of nothing. You hear the first few murmurs, the low voices of men who don't even want to acknowledge the truth they know is coming. But it's coming, and there's no hiding from it now. The ship creaks, shudders beneath you, as if it senses the encroaching fog, as if it knows it's about to be lost again. It's a hollow, foreboding sound, a warning, and yet there's no escape from the storm of silence that follows. The fog wraps around you like an old familiar shroud, but this time it's worse. The cold isn't the same as before. It's deeper, sharper, as if the air itself has turned against you, biting at your skin with a new kind of cruelty. Your muscles ache from exhaustion, your limbs slow and stiff, and the fog only makes it worse. You've already given everything to the sea. Your strength, your resolve, your will to survive. And now it's taking what little is left. The fog presses in from all sides, suffocating, stealing your breath, stealing your sanity. You can't even see your own hands in front of your face. The world has shrunk to nothing, a suffocating void of mist and water, and it's pulling you under again. You stand there, frozen, your heart beating faster with each passing second. The sea has become a prison, a trap, and the fog is its warden. You had thought it was gone. You had thought the worst was over. But the storm, the hunger, the fear, it's all circling back again, as if the sea is playing with you, toying with you, reminding you that it has the power to take everything. It isn't just the fog now. It's everything. The storm is back, in the form of the silence, in the form of the cold, in the form of the panic creeping back into the hearts of the men around you. The ship lurches again, and you grab hold of a railing, bracing yourself, but it feels like it doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. The fog has returned, and it's more merciless this time, more relentless, as if it knows you're weaker, that you've been broken by the endless days of drifting, by the endless fight for survival. The crew begins to move with purpose now, their faces tense, their movements jerky as if they're afraid of what's coming. There's a frantic energy in the air, a collective desperation, as each man wonders, silently, if this will be the end. The fog isn't just a mist, it's a wall, a barrier between you and the world, a wall that has closed you off from hope, from the knowledge that you once had a place in the world. It's a reminder that there is no escape. The wind has stopped again. The waves have quieted, as if the world is holding its breath, waiting for the next disaster to strike. And all you can hear now is the distant, rhythmic sound of the ship creaking, the sound of the sea pressing against the hull, the sound of your own breath coming too quickly, too shallowly. The voices of the crew become muted, indistinct, swallowed by the fog. You can barely see the men standing next to you, their shapes, little more than shadows, and the fear begins to spread like a disease. It's impossible to tell who's really in charge anymore, whose voice carries weight, whose commands matter. The fog has stolen that too. Now it's just a chaos of bodies moving with no purpose, each man consumed by his own terror, each man alone in his fight to survive. And you're no different. You're drifting too, alone in this new nightmare, grasping at anything you can hold on to. But there's nothing left. Your thoughts too begin to slow, clouded by the fog, clouded by the fear. You wonder if you've ever truly known what it meant to live. The fog makes everything feel like a dream, like you're walking through the last moments of something that's already gone. The sea has claimed your soul. The storm is coming. And this time, you know it's not just the ship that will be broken. It will be you. The fog has returned, and you've been lost in it long enough to understand one thing. There is no escape. The sea is taking you, and this time you know it might not give you back. For the first time in what feels like a lifetime, you see it. A shape on the horizon. Something solid. Something real. It's faint at first. Just a darker patch against the endless gray of the sea. But it's there. Unmistakable. Land. You can't believe it. Not after everything you've been through. Your heart stirs with hope, with the thought that maybe, just maybe, this nightmare is coming to an end. The fog hasn't swallowed it yet. The storm hasn't hidden it from view. You can't remember the last time you saw land. The last time you even imagined this moment. It's been so long, so many days, so many nights spent adrift, that the idea of solid ground, of something you can touch, seems almost impossible. But there it is, just barely visible, like a mirage at the edge of your vision. You want to believe it. You want to feel the relief of knowing that you're close, that the worst is behind you. You don't speak at first. You can't. The words are stuck in your throat, as if your body can't quite accept the truth it's seeing. But slowly, one by one, the crew notices. The eyes that were once lifeless now flicker with something different, something like hope, something like the possibility of salvation. Land is in sight. But the closer you get, the more the doubt begins to creep in, worming its way into your thoughts, like an unwelcome guest that refuses to leave. Is it real? Can it be? Your instincts scream at you to keep moving forward, to push on through the mist, to fight through the exhaustion, the fear, and get to that shore. But something feels wrong. The fog is closing in again, creeping up on the ship like a hungry animal stalking its prey. The first whisper of doubt grows louder, turning into a roar in your mind. What if it's just another illusion? What if the sea is toying with you, showing you a promise it has no intention of keeping? Every inch feels like a false promise, a trap set by the sea to lure you in, only to pull you back into its cold, merciless grasp. You can feel it now. The weight of the fog settling in once more. Thicker this time, suffocating, just like it was before. The air grows colder as the fog thickens, wrapping itself around the ship like a blanket of despair. The land, once so clear on the horizon, begins to blur, fading in and out like the memory of something you once had but can't quite hold on to. You squint, trying to make sense of it, trying to convince yourself that what you're seeing is real, but with every moment, it slips further and further away, like sand through your fingers. It's there, and then it's gone. Just a shadow, a blur, lost in the mist. The men begin to stir, shifting uneasily as the ship moves closer, closer. But the land doesn't seem to come any closer. It just lingers, as if mocking you, teasing you with the idea of safety, the idea of home. Your breath catches in your throat as the ship creaks and groans, pushed forward by the wind, but you can't shake the feeling that the closer you get, the further away you are. The sea, once a vast expanse of mystery, now feels like a prison, a labyrinth designed to drive you mad, to keep you adrift forever. You want to believe that land is real, but with each passing moment, you start to wonder if the sea is showing you just enough to keep you from giving up. It's a cruel game, a game you can't win, because the closer you get, the more you realize that the sea may never let you go. The fog thickens again, swirling around the ship in heavy, suffocating clouds. You can't see past the mast now. The land all but disappeared from view. Your heart sinks, a slow, steady ache, as you realize that once again, you are adrift, lost to the world. The promise of land, the hope that you would finally feel solid ground beneath your feet, slips away, swallowed by the mist, just like everything else. The air is still cold, The water still endless, and nothing has changed. It's a false hope, a trick played by the sea to keep you going, to keep you fighting, when all it wants is to break you. You stand there, staring at the fog, the land, now a fading dream. And you wonder if you'll ever know if it was real. You wonder if the sea will ever stop pulling you back into its grasp, if you'll ever feel the ground beneath your feet again. Or if, like the land itself, you'll simply fade into the mist, just another lost soul drifting forever, with nothing but the fog to guide you. The land is still out there, just barely visible on the edge of your mind. It's like a sliver of hope, a thin line on the horizon, but it's enough to keep you going, enough to rally whatever strength you have left. You know that one wrong move could send you drifting back into the abyss, swallowed by the sea you've been fighting for so long. But there's no turning back now. You've come too far, survived too much. The fog still presses in, thick and heavy, as if trying to suffocate the very idea of salvation. But you can't let it. Not now. Not when you're so close. The men are tired, their faces pale, their bodies worn down by days, weeks. How long has it been? Of fighting against forces they can't understand, forces they can't control. But when you look into their eyes, you see the same thing you feel. The glimmer of something, of hope, of the possibility of land. You take a deep breath, gathering whatever energy you can from the small spark of that hope. There's no more time for hesitation, no more time for second guessing. The sea has already taken so much. Your strength, your patience, your will. And now, it's coming for your final ounce of resolve. You have to keep moving. You have to push forward. You can't let the fog claim you again, not when you're so close to reaching something real, something solid, something that can take you away from this nightmare. Your crew, silent at first, begins to stir as you make your way to the front of the ship. Every man feeling the weight of your words as you speak, as you try to find the courage to give them something they can believe in. We can make it, you say, the words sounding foreign in your own mouth. You've been saying them to yourself for days, but now, as they leave your lips, they feel like a challenge. We're close. We can make it. You don't know if you believe it, but you have to say it. If you don't, if you let the doubt creep in, you'll lose them. You'll lose yourself. The fog is relentless, creeping in at the edges of your vision, but you refuse to let it take you. Not now. Not when the land is so close. Not when it's within your reach. The crew looks at you, their faces weary but hopeful. They've seen the same thing you have. The land, the possibility, but they've also seen the toll the sea has taken on you all, and they know that one wrong move could be your last. The storm is still there, hidden somewhere beneath the fog, waiting to strike, waiting to remind you of its power. The sea is a relentless beast, and it never lets you forget that. But now, you have something the sea can't take from you. Not completely. The will to survive, the will to push forward, to fight, even when every muscle in your body screams for rest. The will to make it to land. And so you rally them, calling out orders, pushing them to move, to fight against the fog, against the sea, against everything that's been trying to break you. It's not easy. You can feel the weight of every wave, every gust of wind, pushing against you, trying to drag you back into the unknown. But you can't stop. Not now. Not when you're so close. You tell them to keep the sails steady, to steer into the wind, to keep moving. Every inch feels like a battle, and yet the crew responds, each man pulling together for the first time in what feels like forever. The fog has taken so much from you, but it won't take this. It won't take the last bit of resolve you have. The ship moves forward, creaking with the strain of the effort, but it moves. The air grows colder, and the fog thickens, but you can't afford to let it stop you. You can't afford to hesitate. The land is there, somewhere, waiting for you. Every action you take now could mean the difference between life and death, between making it or being swallowed by the sea forever. The men move faster now, pulling their weight, pushing the ship forward, and you can see it in their eyes, the same glimmer of hope that you're clinging to. The ship lurches forward, the wind howling around you, the fog thickening at every moment, but you push on, knowing that if you stop now, you'll never know what could have been. The sea has shown you nothing but its rage, but now, as you push against it, you feel the smallest spark of defiance, the smallest flicker of victory. It's a fragile thing, a tiny flame in the face of an ocean that has tried to take everything from you, but it's enough. Enough to keep you moving, enough to keep you alive. You know the sea could still take you, that the fog could swallow you up again, that the land might still be an illusion. But you can't stop now. Not when you're so close. Every turn of the wheel, every stroke of the oar brings you closer, closer to something real, to something solid, to something that could save you. The fog is closing in again, but this time, you don't let it claim you. You're closer than ever. You tried. You really did. Every fiber of your being fought against it. You pushed your crew, kept them moving, kept them hopeful. But now, as you stand at the helm, watching the fog close in like a living thing, you realize with a sickening certainty that the sea is not to be defeated. Not by you, not by any of you. The ship groans beneath you, the sails billowing uselessly in a wind that seems to be coming from every direction, but it's all for nothing. You can feel it, a weight pressing down on your chest, a sense of inevitability creeping in with the mist. No matter what you do, the sea is swallowing you whole. Slowly, relentlessly, it wraps its cold fingers around the ship, around your mind, around your spirit. The fog that once seemed like a distant threat is now suffocating, filling every space, every crack, until there's nothing left but a hollow, white void. The crew is scattered, moving blindly, trying to make sense of it, but it's all useless. You can't see the men around you. You can't even see the ship. It's like you've entered some sort of purgatory, lost in a world that doesn't care if you're alive or dead. The storm rages around you, but the sea's roar is muted by the thick fog. It's a cruel joke, really, to be caught in something that's both so oppressive and so silent. There's no wind to fight against now, just the sound of your own breath, heavy in your ears, as the ship drifts aimlessly, pulled this way and that by forces you can't control. The waves crash against the hull with an unsettling regularity, and for a moment, you think that maybe it's all a dream. Maybe you're still back in that first fog, trapped in a nightmare. But when the ship lurches beneath you, sending you stumbling against the railing, you know it's not. This is real, and this is the end. You scream for the crew, but your voice is lost to the wind, to the roar of the storm, to the endless thundering of the ocean. There's no answer. No one willing or able to respond. They've all fallen silent, as if they've accepted what you're only beginning to fully understand. The sea has won. It has always been the stronger force. And you, with all your struggles, all your efforts, have been nothing more than a distraction. The ship is a toy, tossed around by the storm, and you're nothing more than a passenger now. The ocean, with all its power, has decided your fate, and there's no fighting it. The fog presses in tighter, colder, until you can't even feel your fingers on the wheel. The once familiar scent of the sea, the salt in the air, is gone, replaced by the heavy, suffocating scent of the mist, of decay, of something that's already been lost. The waves are getting bigger now, crashing harder, but the fog is so thick you can't even see them coming. You only feel them, like a giant's fist slamming into the hull, shaking the ship to its core. The men are yelling, but it doesn't matter. It's too late. The ship groans again, this time louder, the sound of wood cracking under the weight of the sea, under the weight of a storm that was never meant to be survived. The fog is everywhere now. It's in your lungs, in your eyes, suffocating you, blinding you. You know deep down that there's nothing you can do. The sea has claimed you. It's no longer a battle for survival. It's a countdown. The final seconds ticking away before the inevitable. The ship lurches again, harder this time, and you know it's the end. The mast creaks, the sails snap, and for a brief, terrifying moment, you wonder if the ship is about to break apart beneath you. The men scream out again, but you can't understand their words. It's all a blur, a cacophony of fear and desperation that you can't escape. The fog is everywhere, swallowing everything, taking everything, and all you can do is stand there, helpless, staring into the white nothingness. There's no land, there's no hope. There's only the sea, the storm, and the fog, and none of them care whether you live or die. Then, as if to finally end the torment, the ship shudders violently, throwing you to the deck. The force is so immense that you can't even process it. The world spinning around you, the air knocked from your lungs. The storm's roar is deafening now, crashing around you, as though the ocean itself is mocking you, laughing at your attempts to survive. The ship feels like it's being pulled under, the water rising fast, and you realize with horror that it's not just the fog that has claimed you. The sea has already claimed your ship, and now it's coming for you. You fight against the waves, against the fog, against the darkness that's closing in around you, but it's useless. The sea is vast, it is cold, it is unfeeling, and in its final embrace, it swallows you whole, pulling you under, taking you with the ship, taking everything before. This is your last attempt, your last chance, and you will not let it slip away. The fog lifts, but it's not the triumph you imagined. The mist that had suffocated everything for so long parts slowly, like a curtain pulling back to reveal something no one should ever see. The world is still, unnervingly still, as if it's holding its breath, waiting for something. The wind is quiet now, the waves smaller, gentler, almost kind. But it's all wrong. There's no joy in this moment. You feel nothing but the emptiness that follows after the storm, after the battle has been lost. The sea is calm again, the same sea that tore you apart, that took everything you knew and twisted it into a nightmare. But now, with the fog gone, there's nothing to see but the wreckage. The ship, once a sturdy vessel that carried you, your crew, and your hopes, is now a shattered skeleton of wood and torn sails. The mast is broken in half, the boards warped and splintered, and everything that once held promise is now just debris scattered on the endless sea. You don't know where you are, you don't know what's left, but you know this. You've survived, but at what cost? You glance around at the remnants of the crew, and what's left of them. Some are still standing, their faces hollow, eyes vacant. They're staring at the sea, the same sea that has robbed them of everything, the same sea that has taken their friends, their strength, their very will to keep fighting. There's no celebration, no relief in their eyes. It's a tired sort of survival, one that feels more like defeat than victory. You've made it through, yes, but what have you really gained? The land you once dreamed of, the land you fought to reach, is nowhere to be found. There's no safe shore, no place to run to, just the endless expanse of water surrounding you. And in that vastness, you feel smaller than ever, like a speck on the surface of a world that has shown you nothing but its indifferent cruelty. The fog is gone, but the weight of everything that's been lost lingers in the air, thick and suffocating, heavier than any storm. You move across the deck, your feet unsteady on the wreckage that was once a sturdy ship. The planks creak beneath your weight, protesting with every step. The sails, tattered and torn, hang limply like forgotten banners, and the ship's once proud bow is now just a jagged ruin. The remnants of your journey are scattered across the wreckage. Empty crates, broken ropes, bits of torn cloth that once held the promise of home. But there's no home. There's no destination anymore, no reason to continue. You thought you were fighting for survival, for a return to safety, but now you wonder if there ever was a way back. If you've been adrift for so long that you've forgotten what it felt like to be anywhere but here, and when you look at the crew, you see that same doubt in their eyes. They're lost, just like you, adrift in a world that's forgotten them, and you wonder if it's too late to ever find something real again. You sit down on the deck, your back against what's left of the mast, and stare out at the water. The sea stretches out in all directions, a cold, unfeeling expanse that you've learned to fear. But now, with everything that's happened, you're not sure what else there is to do but stare at it. The storm has passed, the fog has lifted, but in its wake, all that's left is silence, and that silence is deafening. The sound of the waves crashing against the broken ship is almost a comfort, a constant rhythm to remind you that, despite everything, the world is still turning. But it's a hollow comfort. You wonder if it would have been better to have been swallowed by the sea, to have disappeared into the depths, rather than be left here, staring at a shipwreck and a crew that's lost its soul. The sea took so much from you. It took the ship, the crew, the purpose, and now it's taken your hope. There's nothing left but the remnants of what was, floating on the water, carried away by a tide that never cared to begin with. The crew gathers around the remnants of what was once your ship, but no one speaks. There's nothing left to say. They know it. You know it. You've survived, yes, but what is survival when there's nothing to fight for anymore? What is victory when the cost is everything? The ship is gone, and so are the men who could have helped you, the ones who once knew how to live in a world that had something to offer. You don't know how long you've been lost, how long you've been adrift. But now you understand. It's not about surviving the storm. It's about surviving what comes after. And after the storm, after the fog, after everything you've been through, all you have is this empty sea. The ship is broken, your crew is broken, and you are too. All that's left is the aftermath, the wake of a ship lost to the ocean, and the question of whether there's even anything left to find. You thought the fog was the worst of it. But you were wrong. The worst is what comes next. And you're not sure if you can face it. The sea has settled now, but its storm lingers in your mind. The silence that surrounds you is deafening, filled with the weight of all that has passed, of everything that was lost. You sit, staring out at the water, and it's impossible not to wonder, what could you have done differently? The journey that brought you here, the decisions you made, the choices you thought were the right ones, all of it feels so distant now, like a nightmare fading into the morning light. Yet, here you are, alone with the wreckage, alone with the consequences of your survival, and you can't help but wonder if the end could have been different, if there was something, anything, that could have changed the outcome. You think back to the first signs of trouble, the fog rolling in, the first whisper of uncertainty. You remember the way the crew seemed to shrug it off at first, the way you kept pushing forward, telling yourself that it was just a passing inconvenience, something that would clear by morning. The thought that it could have been the beginning of your undoing never crossed your mind. If you had turned the ship around then, if you had listened to that gnawing feeling in the pit of your stomach, would you have spared your crew from the fate they met? Would you have spared yourself from the relentless terror that followed? But it's too late for questions like that now. Too late for what-ifs. The fog, the storm, the shipwreck, they are all written in the past now, and there's no going back. The decisions have already been made, the paths already walked. What's left is this hollow space where the answers should be, where the comfort of certainty should have been. You close your eyes for a moment, and for a second, you can almost hear the cries of the men lost to the sea, see their faces in your mind, a grim reminder of what it cost. You could have steered the ship differently, could have found a way to navigate the storm, could have done something to save them, but you didn't. You led them into the fog, and you led them into the storm. You fought for survival, but you didn't know how to protect them, how to make the right choices in the face of something so wild, so unpredictable. The truth stings. There's no way to sugarcoat it. You were their leader, and you failed them. You wonder if that's what they felt before they were taken, before the sea swallowed them up and left only their memories behind. If you had known then what you know now, could you have saved them? Could you have saved the ship? The very idea of turning back time, of having that chance to make things right, is a cruel temptation. But it's also an illusion. There's no turning back. Not now. Not ever. The lessons are there, painfully clear in the wake of it all. You see them now, each one glaring at you from the wreckage of the ship, from the faces of the men who survived, from the weight of the decisions that led you to this point. You should have turned back when the fog first rolled in, should have trusted your gut instead of pushing forward with blind determination. You should have listened to the men who were afraid, should have taken their concerns seriously instead of dismissing them. Maybe you could have saved them. Maybe you could have saved yourself. But now, it's too late for second chances. The ship is gone. The men are gone. And all that remains is the quiet after the storm, the haunting silence of a journey that ended in nothing but loss. You can't change the past, no matter how much you wish you could. You can't undo the damage that's been done, can't take back the words you said, the decisions you made. But there's something in this reckoning, something in the painful acknowledgement of your mistakes, that offers a strange kind of clarity. You know now what you didn't know then, that survival isn't just about strength or skill. It's about making the right choices at the right moments, about listening to the fear in your gut, about knowing when to push forward and when to turn back. The sea may not care about your regrets, but you can learn from them. You can carry the weight of these lessons with you, even if they cost you everything. You rise, slowly, your legs unsteady, and take one last look at the shipwreck, the men who remain, the sea that has claimed so much. There's nothing left but the aftermath, but you can still see the lessons written in the wreckage, and maybe, just maybe, that's something you can take with you, something you can carry forward. Because in the end, the only thing left is what you've learned, and the hard truth that it was never about survival alone. It was about knowing what you could have done and accepting that you can't change what's already been lost. The sea is still, now, the endless horizon stretching out before you. The journey, the madness, the struggle, all of it feels so far behind, yet it's still fresh in your mind, every detail etched into your thoughts, as though the events happened only yesterday. The fog, once a silent predator, has retreated into memory, but its shadow lingers. It took so much. It took the ship, it took the crew, and it nearly took you. The fog wasn't just a physical barrier, something to be sailed through. It was a force of nature, a reminder of how small you really are in the face of something so vast, so merciless. You thought you could fight it. You thought you could outlast it, outsmart it, maybe even conquer it. But the fog doesn't care about your plans, about your will, about your pride. It takes what it wants, when it wants, and leaves nothing but emptiness in its wake. And when you look out at the water now, you know the truth. It was never really about the ship or the crew. It was always about survival. It was always about knowing when the sea would take you and when it would let you go. The ship, what remains of it, is just debris now. The sails hang limp in the windless air, shredded by the same storm that ripped through your crew's resolve. The remnants of the wood creak in the stillness, as if mourning their loss, and for a moment, you wonder if the ship ever truly had a chance, or if it was always doomed to be a casualty of nature's wrath. You survived, but at what cost? What remains of the voyage now? The fog has lifted, but the memory of it, the feeling of being lost, of not knowing which direction was safe, is still fresh in your veins. The crew that's left moves aimlessly around the wreckage, the faces blank, eyes haunted. They are survivors, yes, But what does survival mean when there's nothing left to fight for? What does it matter to make it through, to see the end, if everything you've lost can never be recovered? The sea is indifferent to what you've lost. It never asked for your struggle, never cared for your plans. It simply took what it wanted and moved on, as it always does. You know this now, as you stand alone in the silence, watching the wreckage that remains of your ship, of your crew, of everything you thought was certain. There is no glory here, no sense of triumph, only the quiet realization that you were never in control, you were never meant to be. The sea had its way, and you were just a speck on its surface, trying to survive. The fog, in the end, is what defines the journey. It's the silence before the storm, the dread before the crash, the space between life and death. The worst part isn't the fear of what's in the fog, or the terror of what it hides. It's the not knowing, the uncertainty of whether it will clear, or whether it will pull you deeper into its grip. And that's what it took from you. The belief that you could make it through anything. It made you question everything, from the ship you sailed on to the men you led, and even your own instincts. What did you know? What could you trust? What was the point of it all? You thought you had answers. You thought you could navigate through it, fight against it. But the fog is relentless. It doesn't offer answers. It only offers time. And time, in the end, takes everything from you. It takes your strength. It takes your resolve. It takes your very will to keep going. As the sea calms, you reflect on the journey, the choices you made, and the price of survival. You'll carry these scars with you for as long as you live. They'll never fade, and neither will the lessons. The fog was never just a physical barrier. It was the point of no return. The moment it rolled in, survival ceased to be a guarantee. The fight for your life began then. You couldn't have known how long it would last, how much it would cost. But the fog showed you that nothing in this world is certain. The sea doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your plans or your crew. It only cares about itself, and you were just a part of its great, unforgiving sweep. The wreckage of the ship isn't just wood and ropes and broken sails. It's a monument to everything you didn't understand, to everything you couldn't control. And now, as you stand in the aftermath, you know that the lesson, no matter how painful, has been learned. The fog is a weapon, the sea is indifferent, and when you sail, you don't get to choose when the storm comes. You only get to fight to survive when it does. Now, the fog has lifted, and the silence is louder than the storm. It's a final reflection, a painful reckoning. It's over. You've survived. But the question lingers. At what cost? You know now that the real battle wasn't against the fog or the sea. It was against yourself, your instincts, your will to survive. And as you look out over the water, you can't help but feel that the true victory wasn't making it out alive. It was learning the truth about survival. And that, in the end, might be more than you can ever truly bear.